up front, on India up front. Viewers, there's no other way of saying it. In street after street of old Hyderabad, MIM netas are chanting an illegal hate slogan with complete impunity. Children too have been co-opted, corrupted and deployed. Just listen to this one innocent who quite possibly doesn't even know why he is saying what he is saying or the implications that his words could have. Listen in first to this one child. Viewers, while they shout, the state is absolutely silent, meekly cowering in a corner, surrendered as it were to this mob. Viewers, as I told you, this is not some random outpouring. This is well orchestrated. If what T. Raja said was orchestrated, then by that same yardstick, the reaction is also orchestrated. A large number of these groups are being led by MIM leaders. Listen in. You will hear Nasreen Sultana, Mir Sardar Ali, Zafar Khan, Sayyid Zuhail Qadri, all of them. Listen in, viewers. Listen in to how they chant this slogan.
रसूल की है कि सदा गुस्ताख रसूल की है कि सदा गुस्ताख रसूल की है कि सदा कानून से मिले फांसी की सजा गुस्ताख रसूल से है कि सजा कानून से मिले फांसी रसूल की है कि सजा
I say tonight, don't let this Sartan Se Juda brigade turn India into a caliphate. The right to offend, viewers, is a cornerstone of mature democracies. Without it, there may be no free exchange of ideas. There would be no way to learn from each other. There would be no way to challenge draconian impositions that draw their legitimacy from the high altar of religious conservatism or are birthed from the pulpit of a repressive state. Let me explain using concrete examples. In India, for instance, rationalists would be hunted down for questioning unscientific religious dogma without, viewers, this right to offend. Dalit activists won't be able to critique the caste system for fear of upsetting the custodians of the Hindu tradition, for instance. Feminists won't be able to challenge misogynistic religious traditions. Homosexuality won't have any legal sanction. While free speech is an absolute in India, the makers of our constitution resisted, for example, the idea of blasphemy laws. The makers of our constitution, bless them, were fully aware of the importance of creating an enabling ecosystem for latter-day Dayanand Saraswatis and Sri Aurobindos to live and philosophize in India. Even the Aga Khan viewers was here. Unfortunately, in Hyderabad, a group of agitated minds have taken to the streets with uncharacteristic brazenness, demanding the beheading of a BJP legislature for insulting the Prophet. The slogan, Gustakh-e-Rasool ki ek hi saza, sartan se juda, has become a rallying call for exacting violent revenge from both T. Raja Singh and his parent party, the BJP. The patently illegal slogan, it is thought to be an interpretation of Islamic law. The first time the slogan was raised, according to some reports, was in Pakistan. There, conservatives were seeking retribution for the actions of a politician called Salman Taseer. Once the cry was given in Pakistan, the then governor of Pakistan's Punjab province, Salman Taseer, was a marked man. Taseer was eventually killed by his own bodyguard. In line with practice, the bodyguard was celebrated as an ideal Muslim. His blood-slaked zealotry a mark of honor. Today, there is a very, very real danger that this same violent zeal might spill blood in Hyderabad or elsewhere, viewers. There are enough people who will get carried away by this. Despite blasphemy being illegal in India, the state has capitulated, it appears, to the Sartan Se Juda brigade. While the object of this brigade's ire, the BJP MLA T. Raja Singh, was arrested, not one of the agitating Islamists has been booked. This is strange. The inability of the state to stand up and be counted in defense of India's constitutional values is worrying. And not just because this capitulation threatens to normalize and weaponize obscurantism. Other communities will be watching also. Hotheads among them will feel emboldened. At the slightest offense, they might hit the streets seeking out a similar extrajudicial avenue to seek retribution against what they deem is apostasy, blasphemy. If the state doesn't draw the proverbial Lakshman Rekha now in Hyderabad, India could end up becoming a close-minded version of Pakistan where the right to feel offended will have become inviolable, viewers. Imagine the consequences for our democracy. And therefore tonight, viewers, without further ado, let's open this up. Let's go across. Sai Deepak, an advocate who joins us. He's an author. He has been writing extensively. He just launched his book yesterday, his second edition of a trilogy. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, who needs no introduction. Ravula Sridhar Reddy, chairman of the TSEWIDC and leader of the TRS. He was here with us last night on this show, and I welcome him back because I asked him, and he told me that there will be action against this Sartan Se Juda brigade. And if there isn't, I told him I'll have him back on the show because I'll ask him what his party fears. And I'm glad that he has at least offered to be part of it. There's Rashid Khan, Congress leader, who also is here, viewers. Rashid Khan, who stood inside a police station and said, I'll burn it down if by today, T. Raja isn't acted upon. He'll burn it down, he said, viewers, standing inside a police station, and he's still free to appear on a TV debate. Can you believe it? He threatened violence. He threatened the police. And they turned the other cheek. Anyway, he's here. Danish Qureshi, political analyst and AIMM sympathizer, also here with us. Let's first begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Mr. Reddy will hopefully join us, Mr. Ranganathan, because he did say that he would be here to take my questions if no action was taken. So, Dr. Ranganathan, put this in perspective. What are we seeing here?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists, and heartiest congratulations to Jay Sai on the second book of his trilogy. Rahul, this Sar Tan Se Juda slogan is barbaric and unacceptable in a civilized society. But there are two issues here. Number one, we need to accept that we are simply biding time. I am very comfortable with it. As Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore said, and I quote him, Islam has distinct enmity against all other religions. It is not just satisfied with observing its own religion, but is determined to destroy all other religions, unquote. So the millions who pour onto the streets demanding Sar Tan Se Juda, they are not mad, Rahul. They are not fanatics. They are simply following religious fundamentals. Allah has specifically ordered that those who abuse Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter and prepared for them a humiliating punishment, unquote, 3357. And that the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger, the crime Ayatollah Khomeini accused Rushdie of all those decades ago, is that they be killed 533, unquote. For 1.8 billion Muslims, Allah's word is inviolable. We need to understand, anyone who is perceived to have blasphemed will sooner or later meet the fate of Kamlesh Tiwari and Samuel Paty. It may take a day or decades, but we need to understand this. And moderate Muslims can play the victim card as much as they want, but they are the ones who are Islamophobic. That is, they fear Islam. They fear to bring out the commandments of their holy book in their entirety because they fear being called illiberal and hypocrites. So they end up condemning and branding as radicals the poor Muslims who are faithfully following the fundamentals. वो कह रहा है हमारी क्या गलती है भाई? Now let me come to the second issue, which is academic and important as well. Why, one may ask, if I am a free speech absolutist, do I say Gustakhe Rasool ki ek hi saza Sar Tan Se Juda slogan is unacceptable? Aren't these mere words? After all, rhetorically, I can ask, there are dozens of verses that call for way more violence against the Kafirs than this slogan, 456, 40, 70, 8, 12, 22, 19, but we haven't redacted or banned those, have we? So why this double standard? Well, let me club this with two other slogans, Rahul, that equally call for a violent retribution. देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को and तिलक तराजू और तलवार इनको मारो जूते चार, what Mayawati said. If you want people arrested for chanting देश के गद्दारों को, then why should those chanting Sar Tan Se Juda or Tilak Tarazu also not be arrested? After all three slogans call for violence. The first against blasphemers, the second against traitors, and the third against the upper caste. And all of them aren't asking the judiciary or the police to dispense this punishment. It is an open-ended, extrajudicial, extra-constitution call to everyone and anyone. And in a mob, that is problematic. Let's test this theory. What would happen if we put Nupur amid a mob chanting Sar Tan Se Juda, or Afzal Guru amid a mob chanting Desh Ke Gaddaron Ko, or a Brahmin amid a mob chanting Tilak Tarazu or Maro Jute Char? They would be lynched. Therefore, it follows that these slogans aren't mere words when chanted by a mob, like many violent verses are. And it follows that any mob chanting it must be prosecuted to the last man, woman, and, as you showed disturbingly, child.
Well, it's as simple as that, viewers. We have to make a choice. Do we go by the Constitution, the only book that matters in this land for law-abiding citizens, or do we follow the street and their invocations? That's the question tonight. That's the question tonight. And I want to bring in, because I don't know what's happening, Ravula Sridhar Reddy Saab has still not joined. I was really looking forward to him being here. He promised that he would come if there would be no action. Of course, he's a TRS leader and, you know, it's his convenience. But he did say that he would be here to take my questions, because I didn't think there would be any action, and viewers, there hasn't been any action. So I'm going to ask him, but I'm still awaiting him. Hopefully he will come and he will enlighten us all, viewers, and I'm sure that you will also like me to ask those questions. But I want to begin with Rashid Khan, Congress leader. Rashid bhai, can I ask you a question? Did you stand inside that police station and threaten to burn it down? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, I did that. But I want to raise some question. Who is instigating these riots?
Amazing.
And basically, who is disrupting the communal harmony of Telangana? It's obvious Raja Singh. And Raja Singh is a habituated offender.
Okay.
more than 49 hate speeches has been registered in several parts of Telangana, and this is not the first time. His derogatory remarks made everyone go on roads. People, right from children, women, all are on roads just because their sentiments have been hurt. Now the question is, I'm ready to face any consequences. I just got an information that a complaint has been filed in ACP office against me in Shehnazganj. I'm ready for it. But when it comes to my beloved Prophet, peace be upon him, we cannot tolerate.
Okay.
We cannot tolerate.
So at least,
and this man
Rashid bhai,
is
you are being honest. You are being honest by your... Okay, so you are being honest. Rashid Khan, 1 minute.
Hindus and Muslims.
Okay, so Rashid bhai, you are being honest by the tenets of your faith. That's wonderful. That's really wonderful.
Yes.
But sir, what would you want with T. Raja? He has been arrested. He was booked for the crime. He has been suspended by his party. उनको show cause भी मिल गया है. उनको 10 जो भी है 10-15 दिन में explain करना है why he shouldn't be expelled. उनके खिलाफ resolution भी pass हो गया है, so that he is expelled from the state assembly, sir. So what would you want? Do you support this Sar Tan Se Juda slogan?
Yes, sir. No. Firstly, I want Raja Singh to be behind bars. This is because of carelessness of Telangana police. Thus, Raja Singh has been granted bail. 41 CRPC.
So is that the reason, Rashid Khan Sahab,
Raja Singh, that's the
is
main
that
reason
the reason you stood inside the police station?
We want justice.
No, okay, so 1 minute. Let's get this right. So that is the reason you stood inside the police station and said, I will burn down the police station if you don't arrest, right? Yeah, आपने बोला inside this police station. Let's play this out. I think we have the sound bite. Let's play out Rashid Khan's...
I said.
Let's play it out. Let the viewer also hear, sir, your great oratory today. Let's play it.
हमारे हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की शान में गुस्ताखी कर रहा है और हम खामोश बैठ के तमाशा देख रहे हैं. नहीं, तमाशा हम नहीं देखने वाले. अब हम सड़कों पे उतरेंगे और अल्लाह की कसम मैं बोल रहा हूं, अगर से 23rd के दिन उसको अरेस्ट नहीं करेंगे राजा सिंह को, 24th के दिन मैं राशिद खान गोशा महल को अंगार में बदल दूंगा. मैं गोशा महल में दाखिल हो जाऊंगा और मैं किसी की नहीं सुनूंगा.
मैं किसी की भी नहीं सुनूंगा. नाउ आपने सुना होगा कि 1990 में राशिद भाई कश्मीर के श्रीनगर और अन्य भागों में कत्लेआम हुआ था हिंदुओं का. उनकी भी जो मजहब है, उनका भी जो धर्म था, उसका उल्लंघन हुआ, इंसल्ट हुआ. बहुत भद्दी चीजें कहा गई.
जी.
Many horrible things were said, insulting things were said about the Hindus and their faith.
Yes.
And एक नरसिंहार हुआ, genocide. आपने फिल्म देखी होगी तो कश्मीर फाइल्स, क्योंकि हकीकत तो कोई देखने वाला है नहीं, बट आपने चलो फिल्म तो देखी होगी होपफुली. तो क्या आप चाहते हैं सर कि सारे हिंदू लोग भाई सड़क पे आ जाएं और बोल दें कि हम सब चीजें जला देंगे, देश को जला देंगे, till no one is brought to justice, we will do it? Isn't this, sir, extrajudicial mobocracy? And you're a Congress member. You're supposed to be inherently a Democrat, liberal.
Yes, I know it very well, but I don't. But yes, sir. But
आप तो नेहरू वाले हैं.
Point on any religion.
आप तो गांधी जी वाले हैं.
When it comes to Hindustan, when it comes to Constitution, we know it very well. Yes.
Sir, the Constitution doesn't prescribe. नहीं, मेरी बात सुनिए. The Constitution doesn't prescribe beheading, and that is why I have J.Sai Deepak Saab here with us tonight. He will explain to you what the Constitution actually has set out.
What about our sentiments? Yes, what about our religion? What about our love and passion?
Sir, there are others also who have religious sentiments.
Our prophet.
So it is okay, I'm asking you then, was it okay for the state government, 1 minute, Danish Qureshi, was it okay for the state government to invite Munawwar, the comedian?
Rahul, my reply to
No, 1 second. I have not asked you. I've asked Rashid Khan. 1 minute.
With the same offense. Rahul.
Danish bhai, 1 second. I was speaking to Rashid Khan. Sorry, I mistook your names. I didn't mean it.
Yes. Munawar Farooqi was invited by KTR, CM of Telangana, KCR's son, and that's a different story. But that doesn't mean that if at all Munawar Farooqi is performing in Hyderabad, then Raja Singh will spell religious venom, and he will target Muslims, he will target our beloved Prophet.
Right.
This is not the
viewers,
thing.
That's a different story.
We will invite
Munawar. We will invite Munawar, the person who is booked, who went to jail for saying some terrible things about Lord Ram.
And remarks made by
1 second. And Sita Mata. Horrible things were said. I can't even repeat them, viewers. But that's okay. That's a separate story. Jesai Deepak, yes.
But are we responsible for that thing?
1 second, 1 second, sir. T. Raja can say because you invited them, you provoked, you wanted to spoil the peace, so I said what I said. Just like you are saying that I am reacting to what T. Raja is saying.
This is not the thing.
No, bhai, वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ. There is no end to this.
No.
Where does the chronology go back to? You can't pick and choose the moment you feel outraged. T. Raja said, I was so outraged by the Munawar coming to the city and being given full cover to say exactly what he was saying earlier. I got angry. मैंने अपना इतराज जिताया, क्या problem है? That's the problem, sir. An eye for an eye makes everyone blind. 1 minute. Let me go across to Mr. Sai Deepak. 1 second. Rashid Khan sahab, 1 minute. दूसरे की भी सुन लीजिए.
He targeted
J. Sai Deepak. 1 minute. J. Sai Deepak की भी सुन लीजिए. He's an advocate, practiced in the Supreme Court, written a book. Yes, go ahead.
So 2 things. The content of Munawar Farooqi's jokes and the statements made by Akbaruddin Owaisi with respect to Sita Mata are the same. The only difference is one claims to be a politician, the other claims to be a comedian. So I think Raja Singh should give up politics and become a stand-up comedian and repeat everything that he said, but in the capacity of a comedian. That's point number 1. Point number 2, if the liberals and the so-called, let's say, bleeding hearts of this country believe that the reaction of the jihadis and the Islamists in response to these comments and allegedly defamatory statements or blasphemous statements are right, I hope the Hindus learn from all of these elements and repeat the very same behavior so that everybody gets a taste of this particular medicine. Because at this point, neither the constitution, nor the state machinery, nor the police machinery, or the judiciary seems to be working as far as putting these elements in their place is concerned. So I think and I say this with a lot of responsibility, because now from the north the matter has reached the south, and I'm not at all surprised that Hyderabad has joined this particular gang. It was only a matter of time. In fact, it's a matter of surprise that thus far Hyderabad has not joined this particular group. It has finally, and therefore according to me the circle is complete. And the fact that this particular group is being led by the party of the Owaisis is not at all to be surprised about. Whether it's the Congressy or the, let's say, the AIMM corporators, on this particular issue, this particular behavior will not change regardless of the political affiliations concerned, because it is not a question of political affiliations, it's a question of a particular religious affiliation. So we should not be surprised as to whether someone's a follower of Nehru or a follower of Sultan Salahuddin Owaisi. My only submission is this. At this point, I think we should stop beating the argument of the Constitution. It's a foregone conclusion at this point that the Constitution does not matter to this particular group and this particular mindset. Now, therefore, the rest of the country has to decide what are the response mechanisms that will effectively put this arrogance to bed. That is the only way to address this problem now. I am not spelling out any particular solutions. I am simply saying everybody has a right to think about solutions at this point.
Okay, well, Jesai Deepak, the one thing that I will not underwrite what you said about a minute and a half back was that perhaps the other communities now need to also venture out, do exactly the same, so that these people get a taste of their own medicine. Of course, as a responsible anchor, I am not going to, at any level, underscore that. It might be perhaps the only recourse we have left, as you say, since the courts, the police, the system, the state that is there to uphold our constitutional values, our laws, not viewers, edicts and injunctions, which are religious in nature. We have all subscribed to the constitution of this country, and if those are not being respected, then there might be, as I said, and I was telling Rashid Khan Bhai this, that if he has embarked upon this road, then there will be a backlash. I said it in my intro, viewers. We will become another one of those failed countries. We can't afford to. So our only option right now is to impress upon the TRS government to tell the Hyderabad police to arrest these people, the Sayyid Kashafs of the world.
The TRS government is held hostage by the Owaisi's. There is no way they will do this.
They will not.
And by
do
inviting...
That's the practical... That's the realist... That's the realist in J. Deepak speaking.
Do this, and they've established the fact, care for Hindu sentiments when they invite the Munawar Faruqi being a minister and knowing fully well the controversial track record he has. Are you telling me that KTR did not have an idea as to what this was going to invite? So although it is possible to blame KTR for what he has done, and rightly so, why should Raja Singh not stand up for the rights of his community, notwithstanding the fact that he is a legislator, when he clearly says you're calling a controversial fellow? Then who's to be held responsible for the altered law and order situation? The minister or a legislator who's not in power?
Well, as I'm saying, viewers, an eye for an eye makes everyone blind. And therefore, when Rashid Khan says, we are so outraged. But that's exactly what T. Raja is saying. I was outraged. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan. And I want to bring in the TRS representative Inayat Ali, because Mr. Reddy says he can't come for this debate. He's locked up in some meeting. Hopefully that meeting will end. His private secretary says he will join us as soon as that meeting ends. But Inayat Ali Saab of the TRS is here with us. But Dr. Ranganathan, you wanted to make a point, and then I'll bring in Inayat Ali Saab and Danish Qureshi. Yes.
Yes, Rahul, may I, with your permission, gently rebuke you for grilling Mr. Rashid Khan, because I have found a new friend today in Rashid ji. And I'm being very honest, because Rashid ji is very honest. He is not a hypocrite. He knows what he wants, and he knows that he will get it. And he knows, as I said, that Tagore was absolutely right, Ambedkar was right, and all those people who said what Tagore said and imbibed what he said are absolutely right. What are we trying to do here? Please understand, Rashid Bhai ki galti nahi, he is absolutely honest. Problem comes with those who brand Rashid Bhai as militant. No, Rashid Bhai is not militant. So can I, with your permission, ask Rashid Bhai a very gentle question? Can I please ask him?
Yeah.
Thank you. अस्सलाम वालेकुम राशिद भाई, आपसे एक ही सवाल है. मैं प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद PBUH और आयशा जी RA की बहुत इज्जत करता हूँ. Rahul, there is some disturbance.
Yeah, that is Qureshi.
I think Qureshi is probably already figured out what I'm going to do.
Qureshi is getting irritated.
वो कांप रहे हैं, Qureshi जी कांप रहे हैं, लेकिन मेरा सवाल राशिद भाई से.
Yes.
Can I please ask Rashid bhai a question?
Qureshi bhai, tell him to just keep
without
quiet.
Being interrupted.
Right, can you? Yes, sure.
Thank you, Rashid bhai.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Sure.
राशिद भाई, आप भी जानते हैं, मैं भी आपकी तरह प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद PBUH और आयशा जी RA की बहुत इज्जत करता हूं. आपसे एक सवाल है, क्या आपको या किसी मुस्लिम को प्रॉब्लम होगी अगर मैं साही बुखारी 5134 और सुना नसाई 3378, जो कि 2 हदीथ हैं, उनको कोट करूं?
जी कोट करिए आप, बेशक. You can.
No, we're not quoting anything here. Just 1 second.
We are not quoting because Rahul, I don't want to get
no. Let's not go down that route.
I have proven to you.
Let's not go down that.
I have proven to you.
No.
That an honest Muslim.
I think Dr. Ranganathan. We should
into the depth of this thing.
Yes, 1 second. I think Rashid Khan Saab has been very honest. Let me ask the others. 1 minute, please.
Problem is with people like Qureshi.
Okay, 1 second.
Because Rashid Bhai said, quote kariye.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
नुपुर ने किया
I
था।
get your point. I
Problem
think
है
you made your
कुरैशी
point,
जैसे लोगों
Dr.
के साथ।
Ranganathan. You've established your theory. You have tested it against Rashid Khan's honesty, and he has come out and he has endorsed your views. So you can take now. 1 second. You can take some sucker from that. Let me bring in Danish Bhai. Let me bring in.
डिबेट छोड़ रहा हूं। मैंने आनंद जी से नहीं कहा कि आप छोड़िए, ना राशिद खान से कह रहा हूं।
हाँ, नहीं, दानिश भाई, मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा हूं एक छोटा सवाल। ओवैसी साहब कहते हैं कि उनको पसंद नहीं है. He doesn't like the fact that these slogans are being chanted. Sir, tan se juda slogans are being chanted. If that is the case, why isn't he expelling these people?
Yes.
Why aren't you wanting to expel them from your party? अगर आपको पसंद नहीं है जो लोग आज वही कर रहे हैं जो आप कह रहे हैं बीजेपी कर रही है, तो आप इनको निकालते क्यों नहीं है? मामला वहीं खत्म हो जाएगा.
देखिए राहुल सुनिए मेरी बात. मैं सबसे पहले तो आपको एक जवाब दे दूं कि एक व्यक्ति जिसके ऊपर इतने सारे एक ही तरीके के ऑफेंसेस बुक हुए हैं वो उतना ही डेंजरस है जैसा एक सुसाइड अटैक माइंडसेट का टेररिस्ट, क्योंकि वो जानता है कि हमारे यहाँ ब्लैस्फेमी लॉज में जो प्रोविजंस हैं उसके मुताबिक वो सुबह कुछ भी कहेंगे, एक बहुत बड़े वर्ग के सेंटिमेंट्स को हर्ट करेंगे और शाम को बेल पे निकल आएंगे. प्रॉब्लम यहाँ है, हमें चाहिए कि इस तरीके के जो हैं स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ बनाए जाए ताकि किसी भी मजहब के देवों की और इष्टों की निंदा करने वालों के खिलाफ सख्त कार्रवाई हो. नंबर 1. दूसरे नंबर की बात अगर की जाए तो जो आनंद भाई कह रहे हैं या राशिद खान साहब कह रहे हैं, मैं उनसे एक बात से पूछना चाहूंगा कि इस देश में कम्युनल पॉलिटिक्स जो आज इतना हेट्रेड पे लेकर चला गया है पूरे देश को, इसका जन्मदाता कौन है? इसकी जन्मदाता है भारतीय जनता पार्टी. और ईमानदारी से अगर देश में आप चाहते हैं कम्युनल हार्मनी तो सबसे पहले इलेक्शन कमीशन को चाहिए कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी और उसकी एफिलेटेड तंजीमें जो है उन पर बैन लगे, क्योंकि इस देश में बाबरी मस्जिद को तोड़ने का राजनीतिक मूवमेंट चलाने वाले लोग बात कर रहे हैं और इन
कुरैशी साहब
जो आनंद जी कह रहे थे अभी.
कुरैशी साहब, क्या श्रीनगर में कोई बाबरी मस्जिद तोड़ा था? किसी ने?
जी,
कोई तोड़ा था श्रीनगर में बाबरी मस्जिद? किसी ने?
मालाबार में किस बाबरी मस्जिद
पता है क्या तोड़े थे वहां पर?
बात सुनिए,
हिंदू मजहब के नहीं, हिंदू मजहब के टेंपल तोड़े थे वहां पर.
राहुल जी आप जस्टिफाई कर रहे हैं उसको.
मैं कोई जस्टिफाई नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं आपको ही कोट कर रहा हूं. आप कहते हैं कि जड़ सब नहीं, आप कहते हैं कि जड़ सब बीजेपी की है, तो मैं आपको बताता हूं आपने बाबरी मस्जिद का उदाहरण देखिए. आप ठीक है
वही मानसिकता है जो
कुरैशी साहब, डोंट येल, डोंट शाउट, डोंट शाउट. ये विक्टिम कार्ड आप यहां मत खेलिए. विक्टिम कार्ड आप जरूर
बराबर था तो ये तो नो.
Now he has unleashed himself. Now wait, viewers. This is very important. No, 1 second. One second. Let me just come in here. You see, viewers, the Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992. Much before that, in Srinagar, Hindus and their places of worship were desecrated and Hindus were butchered. There was no provocation of Babri Masjid. There was no RSS in Srinagar.
No, I'm so sorry. There was provocation. The existence of Hindus in Kashmir was provocation enough.
Well, that's a rhetorical response. All I'm saying is, if you look at it from the point that he is suggesting, which is a trigger कि भाई सीधा सब RSS की जड़ है, बीजेपी के, कोई श्रीनगर में बीजेपी और RSS तो था ही नहीं. इसके बावजूद भी वहां हिंदुओं को मारा गया. क्यों? नरसिंहार हुआ, जेनोसाइड हुआ. क्यों सर?
कश्मीर में जो
अब आप रोइए मत, अब आप रोइए मत. नहीं, आप देखिए, आई डोंट वांट टू गेट इनटू एन आर्ग्यूमेंट विथ यू सर. आई एम ओनली आस्किंग,
भारतीय जनता पार्टी,
आई एम आस्किंग यू अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन. आई एम आस्किंग यू अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन. दानिश कुरैशी, डू यू सपोर्ट सरतन से जुदा स्लोगन्स? Yes or no? Simple question.
No in public, yes in private.
Rahul, no law-abiding citizen can support this type of slogan.
So then, sir, why are criminals who are shouting these slogans still part of the MIM? Can I ask you? बीजेपी ने तो कह दिया टी राजा को, नुपुर को और वो जो दूसरे हैं जिंदल साहब को कि आप निकले यहां से. मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं कि MIM कब कहेगी? When will MIM say to Zafar Khan, Sayyid Sohail Qadri, to Mir Sardar Ali, to Naseem Sultana, leave the party? When will you say that? कुरैशी आप बताइए, when will you say that?
नहीं, राहुल मुझे ये बताइए, बाबरी मस्जिद के लिए किसने माफी मांगी अभी तक?
1 minute, viewers. The man of the match has returned. Ravula Sridhar Reddy Sahab is joining us. I was hoping, sir, you would come. One of your other party mates are also here with us. His name is Inayat Ali Sahab. I haven't still gone to any TRS representative, sir. You promised, and right now, and I want to show you these visuals. There are more protests breaking out. Our reporter is on the ground. Shomit is there live. Protests are breaking out. RAF is deployed. Even the RAF today was intimidated, bullied. There is a man called Qureshi from the MIM, who, while condemning Sartan Se Juda slogans, is not telling us whether these people should be kicked out of the party of the MIM or not. So he's also condemned Sartan Se Juda. He said no one in their right mind, no law-abiding Indian can support this. Okay? We have on this show Rashid Khan, who stood inside a police station and said, I'll burn it down. That is an incitement to violence.
On public television.
And right now has repeated it. The same thing. So I'm asking you, sir, Mr. Reddy, why aren't these people still arrested? You promised me yesterday that you would do so. Till now, no arrest. Why?
Listen, Rahul, I said very clearly, the government is not going to spare anyone who incites the violence. That was my statement, and we stand by it. And here in Hyderabad, it is not that, the government is not acting, government is not trying to maintain peace. We are on the job. As you were just saying, the RAF is deployed, and government, Honorable Chief Minister, has reviewed the entire situation in the city, and the first in the case, the government job would be to ensure the peace everywhere, wherever there are aggrieved or any mobs that are coming out. The entire situation is taken under control, and we will ensure that. At the same time, let me assure you, it is not the question of, you have arrested people, not arrested people. Definitely, whoever have tried to disrupt the peace in the city of Hyderabad, the government will take
J. Deepak asking you a question.
Stringent actions. There is no doubt about it.
A panelist on this particular debate, Mr. Rashid Khan, has admitted to the statement that he wants to burn down a police station if Raja Singh is not arrested. He has made that statement. What action are you going to take against Mr. Rashid Khan, who's been kind enough and honest enough to make that statement in public?
No action should be taken.
Listen to me. Last night also I have told Rahul, I am not the SHO or ACP, the area concerned. Definitely the government will ensure that the law of the land will take its own course, and will
Mr. Reddy,
punishment will
Mr. Reddy,
all that.
Mr. Reddy, this is not looking good.
If somebody is running an agenda,
this is not looking good.
Trying to run an agenda.
What agenda, sir? A person is standing in a police station inside. I'll show you. Please show the visual.
I know, I've seen it.
No, then, if you have seen it, sir, then why aren't you arresting him? Why isn't the police detaining him inside a police station?
Listen to me.
Do you think if I can go inside a police station and say I'll burn this police station down, you know what they'll do to me? They will beat me to pulp and put me in jail.
I just can't speak like anybody else. I am responsible enough. Speaking from the...
He's standing inside. Do you know the name of the police station?
Let me be very clear, Rahul. Let me make out. Let me tell you first.
Rampalli police station, sir. He's standing inside the police. Ramapalli police station, inside it.
Whatever.
By that's a different story. But what about Raja Singh?
Can you just listen to me?
This is just venom every time.
Rahul, please.
What about Raja Singh?
He's sitting in the show.
Listen to me.
Dr. Ranganathan wants to ask you a question. Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
No, yes, Rashid Bhai,
41 CRPC.
Yes, no, Rashid Bhai, I am standing with you. Please,
Everybody knows CRPC. Do you think that...
Sir, please allow me. I did not interrupt you. Thank you very much. Rahul, just 2 minutes ago, I gently rebuked you. May I please, with your permission, gently rebuke two other gentlemen. One of them is my good brother style. I do not want Rashid Bhai to be arrested. Please understand, I don't think you got the gist of what Rabindranath Tagore said. Rashid Bhai is a law-abiding citizen. The law that he abides by is not the Indian law or constitution. It is Sharia. So what? He abides by that.
We have to respect it.
But Dr. Ranganathan,
this is not the case. I respect Indian law. I respect my constitution. I respect my
to
motherland.
prove your point, we can go as abuse as
I
you
love
want.
my country. I love my country.
Gentlemen,
But
one second.
who has
Gentlemen,
instigated
one
all this
second.
thing?
Gentlemen,
Why are
gentlemen,
we
one
raising
second.
such
You see,
slogans? Why are we
Dr.
raising-
Ranganathan is delighting tonight, viewers, and he's right. He's delighting in the fact that we have an obscurantist sitting on our panel in the presence of a senior TRS leader, and he will say, I will burn down that police station, and he is getting a platform.
Yes, I'm ready to say.
have
I'm
created a
ready to
platform for
face
him.
any
He wants to be
consequences. I'm ready to
sir.
face any
Rahul, you
consequences.
gave a platform to him to talk about.
No.
Nobody else
The
is.
entire social
I'm ready.
media,
Listen to
every
me.
other channel has given him a
Raja
platform.
Singh?
Tomorrow he'll be
Listen
quoted in
to
the
me, Rahul.
newspapers. You have made him famous. Instead of
Raja
putting him
Singh
in
has
jail
been
and making him
proposed
regret
now, I would
what he
like
has
to-
said,
between Hindus and
you are
Muslims
allowing
since
him
Rahul.
to walk out of a
Rahul.
police station. You gave him a
Police
no.
taking
You
him
gave him a
behind bars.
platform inside a police
Can I-
station.
Talk about Raja
No,
Singh.
Let's
listen
show
to
you
me.
the
Talk
platform.
about the-
One
Just
minute,
by
one
saying
minute.
somebody,
रशीद भाई, हम आपकी तरफ हैं, डोंट वरी, आप चिंता
You
मत
are
करिए,
trying to
मैं आपके
ignore
साथ
the-
हूँ. आप 1 मिनट 2 मिनट
Yes.
2 मिनट रुकिए. कोई आपको नहीं कुछ कह रहा, मैं ही हूँ यहाँ पर बेचारा जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की बात कर रहा हूँ, और लोगों ने सब ने
हाँ, no,
फ्लश
everybody
डाउन कर
respect
दिया
the
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को, डाउन द टॉयलेट.
सब respect
No one
करते हैं
gives,
Constitution.
no one gives,
KCR को
no one gives. No.
Listen to
Two
me,
bits
see.
for the constitution tonight. Unfortunately,
Rahul,
this is
can
the
I-
irony, viewers. This is the irony. Can you believe it?
Rahul, no, listen.
The state has given it up. What
Can
do
you
expect
believe
us
it?
to do?
Mr. Reddy, who is supposed to represent the government, also said, "Chodo bhai, मेरा सर क्यों छपा रहे हो? Don't go after me. I've seen what you're showing me, but we'll take our time."
You're not allowed
Bhai, I
to
will fight
complete.
for you.
Okay, please, Mr. Reddy, go ahead.
What
It
I'm
is so
seeing-
it is so strange today. I don't know which country I'm in.
No.
I'm pinching
sorry.
myself. Am I sitting in
You
Pakistan?
are in the
Don't-
Sharia
don't
compliant
be so
Republic
doubtful.
of Hindus.
No, I'm
India-
really pinching myself. I think I'm
Modi
sitting in
साहब के rule में
Pakistan.
हो।
You are in India.
बेफिक्र रहिए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. सुनिए, just listen to me.
Justice is not
Yeah.
delivered properly.
Hello.
People will behave like this.
Okay.
No, listen.
Rashid Khan is mocking you, and he's from the Congress party that wanted to oppose the creation of Telangana, sir. This is your man.
If Congress, if BJP tries to disturb, tries to,
They've done it.
harmony,
Let's have a
incite the violence in-
Okay, Raja Singh के सर पे 1 crore bounty is being announced. It is like an auction. Let's boost the net on these pictures. Mr. Reddy, listen what is happening in your state. They're announcing a bounty. This is live. Let's go live.
Well, Rahul, we can clearly see here the people have been taken into custody by the police, and we'll ask them, आप पैसे देंगे राजा सिंह को मारे तो क्या बोल रहे हैं क्या?
कुछ नहीं बोल रहे
क्या डिमांड कर रहे हैं?
We want justice. राजा सिंह साहब हमारे सरकार दो आलम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के खिलाफ बोले।
प्रोटेस्ट क्यों कर रहे हैं? लीगल बैटल चल रहा है।
उसको बेल नहीं मिल रहा है। छोड़ दिया ना सर। हमारे गुस्ताखिर हमारा सरकार की शान में गुस्ताखी करे। छोड़ दिया ना, अरेस्ट करिए। बढ़कर पे गुस्ताखी करते, चीर देते। ऐसा कुछ राजा सिंह को अरेस्ट करना पड़ता एक बार।
तो पुलिस में नहीं पुलिस आप पुलिस को
बोल रहे हैं पुलिस का दुनू भाई है। ये पुलिस का दुनू भाई वाला, ये पुलिस वाला का।
Okay, look, the police is already having a tough time. I am not going to point the camera at these people. They'll get more agitated. That's not the idea, viewers. This situation is an evolving tense one. Times now is not going to abet in this. Other channels might want to constantly go live and do all of this, give these chaps a mic and a platform. Not going to do it. Taken a decision live right now. This is the state of affairs right now in Telangana, in Hyderabad, viewers, one of the most progressive cities in this country that sees foreign investment by billions of dollars. And we have a form of extrajudicial anarchy that has hijacked this city. And no one cares. Mr. Reddy says, let me speak. Sir, you have the entire day to speak. Please speak. But do something.
No, of course, we are doing, who have been doing that? You just listen. You wanted something else to be heard. They just asked, we want justice. I just want to tell you, Rahul, whoever is trying to, see, we are a responsible government. We just can't speak like that, somebody wants to incite the violence, kind of free. We just can't speak like free.
Sir, they're not saying we want justice. They say you hand him over to us, we will give him justice, we will tear him to shreds. We are ready to pay 1 crore to anyone to do it.
We are not going to. Let me tell you. Let me tell you to the viewers also. There is no question in the hands of these people. There is no question anybody is left out. Nobody.
The man just said, "Cheer dete, hum isko cheer denge," and he says they want justice. What kind of selective hearing does this gentleman suffer from?
My dear friend, we are in a TV channel. We are not on the ground. People, when in mob.
So your behavior is worse. I'm sorry to say, as the minister who's actually holding this position, you seem to be actually burying your head 6 feet deep in the sand when the man is basically saying,
okay,
justice.
Mr. Reddy, okay.
But let me allow.
Okay.
Let me speak.
Okay, please speak. Please.
When you are in mob, you
speak
cannot.
And expose yourself. We want you to. Please go on.
Please speak, sir. Please speak.
Listen to me.
Yes.
See, I am here to represent my party, which is in government. I can only tell you again and again, we will ensure that nobody is, left like that if anybody is trying to disturb. That's what I'm trying to say. At the same time, in a mob like this, if 1 or 2 people speaks, make entire system.
One or two?
You just have seen in this particular mob.
So there are hordes of people.
Not only does
you are not an interrogator. I am answering you. I am talking about in a mob. You cannot, control 1 or 2 speaking or 10 people speaking. You cannot make the government responsible to it.
Sir,
ensuring, we need to understand that government. Please understand, boss. Who are you? Wait. Can't you listen to me?
We want justice and
We are in Hyderabad. Can you please understand? I don't know who are you, whom you represent. Can you please wait for a moment?
My name is Advocate Desai Deepak. I understand Telugu and Urdu better than you. And he's clearly telling you on cheer denge. And you're basically saying that they want justice.
To prove upon.
Do you suffer from selective hearing and selective vision?
You can't speak like you. We can't speak like Raja Singh and you. Can you please hold?
And you're sleeping on the job. That's the degree of your responsibility.
I am listening. I am responding. We are a responsible, accountable government. We speak and we speak responsibly. We just can't speak like you. Hold for a moment.
The law of the land will prevail in every other place except the old city of the TRS government. And the only law that will prevail in the old city is the law of the Sharia. That is how Hyderabad has always worked. And especially in the TRS government, that's exactly how it works.
You see, if you drive an agenda, I am saying...
What agenda? There are people on the streets putting a bounty on a man's head, and I am the person who's actually driving an agenda. Have some shame. You're holding a constitutional position. Behave responsibly.
I can speak 100 things like you, but I again and again telling you, we from Hyderabad, every political party...
I dare you to please, on this particular situation, please expose what you're doing.
I am not here to answer you particularly if you have an agenda.
The city is burning and this man is actually showing platitude of this not saying they're on the job.
Let me just step in for 30 seconds.
I am very clear.
Mr. Reddy, 3 questions, and please answer the 3 questions. Please, now I'll pose the questions. Forget about anyone else. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let's just the 2 of us be in the frame for 30 seconds, okay? My first question to you, sir. And please, I know you're a powerful man. I also know, sir, that you serve a powerful chief minister who has a crushing, overwhelming majority. And I can ask you my first question. Why has the police crackdown on hate been selective in Hyderabad, sir? Just answer me this first question.
It's not the case of being selective. Earlier, in Telangana, the cases were booked even of a different political party, even other political parties also, irrespective of the political affiliation they belongs to, when they try to take the law in their hands or try to disturb the peace or committed any other offense.
Okay. So can you explain to me why is it that 48 hours have passed? That's why I'm asking you, sir. It's a very specific question. I'm not asking you a loose question. I don't bowl full tosses to an opening batsman, right? I'm only asking you a specific question, and the specific question is very simple.
Yeah.
Why haven't you arrested these people, sir? Fine, T. Raja did what he did. You arrested him. you have not applied the same yardstick to these other people who are trying to whip up more communal hate. So I'm asking you, why? Can you just answer? Forget about what you did earlier. Why not now? Why not yesterday? Why not now?
See, I told you yesterday also, I told you today also, the police machinery will act according to the law.
Okay, so number two. So let me ask you. That brings me to the second question. That's a very important point.
I have not answered completely.
Yes.
And whoever is responsible to incite the violence,
okay,
and the prima facie evidence is collected,
yes,
if they found guilty,
okay,
they'll be definitely taken into custody. And government
Mr. Reddy, Mr. Reddy, how long do you think it should take to arrest a person who stands outside the police station with many police officers and chants Sartan se juda? Hand over that man, we will cut him down. Or a Congress legislator who is, 1 minute, who is standing inside the police station. How much of an inquiry does it take to arrest that person?
I told you also yesterday, I am not the station house officer or ACP concerned.
Okay.
They know better than me about
so
the law.
So now comes the deflection. Ask them, don't ask me.
No, see.
But I am giving you some guarantee. He came here and gave me a guarantee 24 hours back.
Let me complete what I'm trying to say.
Please.
So definitely, the government will take the rightful action on the people who commits any mistake.
Okay.
At the same time, I would like to
How
tell you...
many hours did you take?
Raja Singh has been arrested.
I've heard you, sir, 4 times you said the same thing. You're not saying anything new.
Listen to me here. Rahul, see, when Raja Singh went to the court, the legal cell convener of Bharatiya Janata Party has appealed for the bail. And you are saying he has been suspended. It's an eyewash. Number 2, he was garlanded.
Sir, you can hang the BJP. You can hang them. But listen to me. There are people out on your streets right now who are putting bounties on people's heads. That is not legal.
Not only them.
How much time did you take to arrest Raja Singh and how much time have you taken to arrest these people? You have not even arrested them. It took you less than 24 hours to arrest Raja Singh. It has happened, 48 hours have passed and there have been no arrests on the other side.
I told you very clearly the government is not selective on anybody.
Well, sir, it's appearing to be selective. You see, justice must be done. It must also be seen to be done.
We want, first of all, the most important thing is to maintain the law and order.
Oh, so are you scared? Are you getting blackmailed? Are you scared that if you arrest these people, there will be violence and a backlash?
The entire population of Hyderabad.
Sir, have you got intimidated?
We are together.
Okay.
We stand for peace.
Let me get in Dr. Ranganathan.
Yes.
Let me get in Dr. Ranganathan to assess what Mr. Reddy has said. Because I don't want to pass judgment. Dr. Ranganathan, today you at least pass judgment on Mr. Reddy. I know that you have given a wide berth to Rashid Khan Saab. But what do you make of Mr. Reddy's statement?
No, I completely welcome Mr. Reddy's statement. I think it's a very measured and justified statement. According to him, what he says is that anyone who disrupts communal harmony will be punished. The government is going to take equal case against anyone. That is what Mr. Reddy says, right? That's a good statement. But then I ask him, Mr. Reddy, my good Mr. Reddy, you know Munawar Farooqi has really ironed the Hindus by making these crass jokes on their gods and goddesses, on the people who were mercilessly burnt alive in Godhra. You know, the moment he opens his mouth, he's going to offend the religious sensibilities of Hindus. He's going to disturb the communal harmony. Then why these double standards, Mr. Reddy? Why have you invited him?
I would like to ask you, see, right is wrong, right is right, wrong is wrong. If Munawar Farooqi has, insulted someone, he was jailed. My question is, the government doesn't welcome anybody. We are a happening city, many people come.
No, but you welcomed him. Mr. KTR welcomed him, gave him security.
Sir, invited him.
Right, anybody. You see, the question here is, I am asking you again, did Narendra Modi government ban him conducting shows in India?
Sir, will you invite Rushdie? Will you tomorrow invite Rushdie now? Salman Rushdie will also come, you will allow him?
I am not. See, the question is...
Can you please invite Taslim and Nassim to Hyderabad and give security?
the democratic country.
Sir, Taslima Nasreen is also not banned in India. Will you invite her? Will you say I'll give you a platform and you can take a stage and I'll give you security?
Why are you not asking Narendra Modi to ban him? Ask Narendra Modi to ban him.
Arey bhai, Taslima, no, 1 second. Taslima Nasreen.
Can I stop somebody entering into my state? Can you stop?
Mr. Reddy, Taslima Nasreen is not banned.
From welcoming that person.
My God.
Rahul, you are giving platform, rather you are inviting people whom you think incited violence. Now you are expecting us to stop somebody in a democratic country who is not officially banned by the government of India.
My dear friend, you invited Munawwar.
I have not invited.
You invited him. Your party invited him. Mr. KTR invited him.
Yes.
Okay, let me show you. Let me show you.
So what?
Mr. KTR's invitation.
I am questioning. Why are you not answering this?
What?
I want to ask.
Yes.
Why did you lie on that? I want to ask Dr. Anand Ranganathan, why did Modi government has not banned? Is it not double standard?
Banned who?
No, 1 second. Now can I answer him? Can I answer him? Can I answer him, please?
Yeah, of course, Dr. Anand.
Yes, number one, as Rahul said, Mr. Reddy, the good Mr. Reddy, we are all sensible here. Let's have a decent discussion. Number one, Mr. Munawwar Farooqi was invited. So you haven't got your facts right. Number two, I am a free speech absolutist. Bhaiya, I already said so. Why would I want anyone to be banned? You are the one who wants Raja banned. But on the one side, you want Raja banned, but you are celebrating Munawwar Farooqi. Double standard aapke hai, mere nahi hai. I'm sorry.
There is no question of double standard.
On 4 issues, viewers, the response has been found wanting.
Rahul, when you wanted a decent discussion, you also have to allow me to answer.
Please go ahead, sir. Answer. You said the same thing for the last 15 minutes. Say the same thing.
At the very least.
Let him finish. Dr. Ranganathan, let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish, please. Let him finish. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Reddy. Yeah.
Rahul, I have been very, responsible with answering. You are saying I am repeating.
Yeah.
And you are also trying to repeat the same thing. I am asking, we are running a government.
Okay.
When Munawwar Farooqi show is being conducted, they are supposed to apply the concerned police to get the permission. If it is found so suitable, they have given the permission. If any of us have welcomed, it is in the, my question is, when you talk about double standards, why the union government? Why the union government has not banned him?
Right, sir. Good, sir. That's your answer. We accept your answer. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful conversation, gone nowhere. We have no timelines on when people will be arrested. Your best response is Modi is duplicitous. So that gives us carte blanche to be also duplicitous. If he can't do it, why should we not do it? It's okay to invite somebody who has insulted Hindus. But sir, when a person insults people from the other faith, the minorities, you jail that person. When there is a reaction to his jailing and people say, let's kill him, let's slaughter him, sartan se juda, beheading, take extrajudicial, we will act, we will see, we will examine. Our police is not some sort of police that jumps to conclusions. They arrest within 24 hours Raja, but they let for 48 hours people who spread hate. Well, viewers, that's the response from Mr. Reddy. That's the sum total. But he's very responsible. So we will leave it at that.
Tiranga home and to hoist it to mark Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now, in order to make sure that Tiranga is within the reach of each and every citizen of this country, the centre had to make some amendments in the Flag Code 2002. Questioning the amendments, the Congress slammed the BJP and said that the amendments in the Flag Code were specially made to favour China. Later, Congress further alleged that centre is now trying to sell the national flag. But before we delve deeper into this, let's first have a look at the original Flag Code and the amendments made to it. The centre has amended certain rules of the Indian Flag Code 2002 to aid the launch of Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. The centre, in the first amendment, allowed the use of polyester apart from cotton, wool, silk and khadi for making the hand-spun, hand-woven and machine-made flags. Earlier, the use of polyester and machine-made flags was not allowed. The next amendment came on July 20th, which allowed the display of Tiranga in open. and also said that it can be hoisted day and night. Earlier, the flag was allowed to be hoisted only from sunrise to sunset, irrespective of the weather conditions. The amendment made by the centre in December 2021, which allowed the use of machine-made and polyester flags, is being widely criticised by the Congress. The Congress accuses BJP of favouring China by allowing the imports of polyester. Besides the opposition, some khadi weavers and some activists have also protested against the amendment brought by the centre in the Flag Code 2002. The Karnataka Khadi Udyog, for instance, has halted its operations and have also demanded a nationwide protest. The idea behind Har Ghar Tiranga is to invoke the feeling of patriotism in the hearts of the people and to promote awareness about the national flag. The centre believes that by bringing the national flag home collectively, it will become symbolic of not only an act of personal connection to the Tiranga, but also an embodiment of our commitment to nation building. Even though the opposition has criticized Har Ghar Tiranga campaign to the core, the BJP, on the other hand, has stuck to its nationalism agenda. While a political slugfest ensued over the use of Tiranga, the people of the country are dipped in patriotic fervour to celebrate the day. Even as the campaign gets criticized, the idea and the main aim of the centre behind this campaign was to instill the patriotism in each and every citizen. And perhaps BJP did succeed in doing that.
In August last year, Taliban seized to power. They promised they have changed. They call themselves the Taliban 2.0. But what has changed? I'm being joined by a very renowned human rights activist, Zarifa Ghaffari. Thank you for speaking to Times Now, Zarifa.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Zarifa, let me begin by asking, Taliban call themselves the Taliban 2.0. How far do you see that the Taliban has changed?
I'm really curious to know about it, that whom they promise that they will change. Because if they exactly promise that they will be changed and someone got this promise from them, so that person needs to, or that team or that country or whoever it is, they need to come up nowadays and answer all the questions. So that's so clear. We knew from that starting that they will not change and they will never get that, because it's not just a war. It's not just terror. It's an ideology which they are carrying it, the same from that starting of their presence in Afghanistan. After the fall of Mujahideen, after the retake of Kabul by power in 90s, they had the same thing. They were the same people. And the same thing was happening that time as well. They was promising women rights and education and everything of women.
By Bachchan Pandey's underwhelming performance to begin with. Akshay Kumar's first release of 2020.
Good evening, ladies Ladies and gentlemen, the Nitish Tejaswi government today passed the majority test on the floor of the House with flying colors. But in the test for propriety, they seem to be faltering one step too many. At first light this morning, CBI raided several properties linked to RJD leaders. The party's MLCs and senior leaders woke up to CBI sleuths raiding their homes across the state of Bihar. Searches were also conducted in an under-construction mall in Gurugram, which sources say belongs to Tejaswi Yadav, the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar, his family and aides. However, the newly appointed Deputy Chief Minister Tejaswi Yadav has denied having any links with the mall that has been raided. Now, here's why those raids were conducted. CBI is investigating alleged irregularities in recruitment for railways job scam between 2004 and 2009, when Lalu Prasad Yadav was the Union Railways Minister in the UPA government. In May this year, the CBI had filed an FIR in the case naming Lalu, his wife and daughters among several others. As per the FIR registered by the CBI, various persons were appointed as substitutes in Group D posts in different zones of the railways in exchange for land. The appointments were allegedly done by unknown public servants of the Indian Railways, and later they were regularized. RJD's first family is in the midst of this entire controversy because out of the 7 instances of land transfers, 3 sale deeds were executed in favor of Rabdi Devi, 1 sale deed in the name of Lalu's daughter Misa Bharti, and 1 other in the name of Hema Yadav, his daughter, and a company in which Rabdi Devi is the major shareholder. 2 gift deeds were also executed in favor of Lalu's daughter. But for the RJD, these are nothing but vendetta. Listen in.
जो झारखंड में देखा, अन्य राज्यों में देखा, मध्य प्रदेश में देखा, क्या देखा हम लोगों ने? मतलब एक ही फॉर्मूला है भाजपा का कि भैया जो डरेगा उसको डराओ अपने जमाइयों से, और जो नहीं डरेगा उसको खरीदो। तो हम तो धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं, यहाँ कोशिश करने का प्रयास किया गया हो। अरे भैया, हम लोग देख रहे थे ना कि आपके राष्ट्र अध्यक्ष लोकतंत्र की जननी में आकर के क्या बयान दे रहे थे कि रीजनल्स पार्टी को खत्म कर देंगे, ऑपोजिशन को खत्म कर देंगे। इसका मतलब क्या है भाई? रीजनल्स पार्टी कौन है?
क्यों डरेंगे? हम लोग डरने वाला आदमी नहीं। आप लोग कितना टारगेट किया जा रहा है? आज बहुमत सीट करना है, कल आज
100% जानबूझ करके, कोई मतलब नहीं है इसका। कौन नहीं जानता है भाई? और कहीं है इन लोग का विधान सभा का जो मामला है, उसको हर एक जगह लोग रेड करते चल रहा है कि एक जगह रेड करें, 2 जगह रेड करेंगे, डर के मारे ऐसा विधायक भाग जाएंगे और हम अपना जो करना है कर लेंगे। और क्या मतलब है? सब राजनीतिक है। आज ही का दिन क्यों चुना गया? क्या पॉलिटिकल साजिश है आज के दिन? और क्या मामला आपको नजर आ रहा है? क्या दूसरा भी मामला है क्या?
They may allege a witch hunt now, but this is not a new case, dear viewers. In 2017, Times Now had exposed the Lalu loot diary. Documents that I had accessed back then showed land purchases in Delhi's Sainik Farms and Bijwasan luxury farm and enclave, pointing to 2 sweetheart deals and alleged money laundering. Those transactions raised serious questions of impropriety and money laundering. And now, 5 years later, the heat is only increasing on the RJD, both on the investigation front and politically.
इन जितने लोगों क्या रीड हो रहा है, ये अधिकांश वो लोग हैं जो लालू की संपत्ति को मैनेज करने वाले लोग हैं। और लालू की पार्टी एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी जैसी कंपनी है जिसका एक ही उद्देश्य कि पावर में आओ ताकि पैसा कमाया जा सके।
कानून अपना काम करता है, उससे मुझे कोई लेना देना नहीं। इसके पहले भी तो सीबीआई ऑलरेडी हो चुका था उनके ऊपर। हम ये जरूर नीतीश कुमार को कहना चाहेंगे, नीतीश कुमार जी, आपने अपने महत्वाकांक्षा के लिए बिहार के तमाम लोगों को कुशासन की ओर ढकेल दिया।
जस करनी तस भरनी, अब बेचैनी क्यों, घबराहट क्यों? ये लालू जी राजद के सुप्रीमो जो भ्रष्टाचार में आखंड डूबे हुए, और अपने सहित पूरा परिवार वो जेल जा रहे आ रहे, और अब तो परिवार का भी गेट्स जोड़ करके और बच्चा बुतरू सहित जेल जाने की तैयारी उन्होंने कर दिया है।
Politics aside, the allegations seem serious, charges that cannot be dismissed as just raid raj by the Bihar government. And that's why the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight: who will answer on this loot raj? That's the question and that's the debate. Bihar land loot. That's the hashtag and the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Professor Subodh Mehta, National Spokesperson of the RJD, Rajiv Ranjan, National Spokesperson of the JDU, Ishkaran Bhandari, Advocate in the Supreme Court. But my first question goes to Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha and National Spokesperson of the BJP. सुधांशु जी, आज आप पर आरोप है और विपक्ष का एक नया नारा भी निकल गया है कि बीजेपी के 3 जमाई आईटी, ईडी, सीबीआई। अब इस पर क्या जवाब देंगे? जिस दिन फ्लोर टेस्ट उसी दिन रेड। Is this a coincidence that raids happen on the morning of the floor test when the case dates back to 2004 to 2009?
Those who are raising the question on the timing, I would like to remind when CBI has registered a case against Lalu Prasad Yadav ji, 1996, 26 years before. If 2/3 of the India's population is less than 35 years of age, so those who are less than 35, so they are not having living memory of before 25 years. So 2/3 of the population have seen Lalu Yadav ji coming in and out of the jail on various charges, irrespective of the government changing and others. So the timeline is of 26 years and they are asking the timeline today. And one more thing I would like to ask. When Lalu Yadav ji was there in the initial stages in 1990 when he became first time chief minister, क्या कहते थे? ये गरीब गुरबा की सरकार है। आज गरीब गुरबा की सरकार का परिवार बिहार का सबसे अमीर परिवार है। दिल्ली में मॉल भी है, दिल्ली में फार्म हाउस भी है, जबकि ना किसी ने कोई व्यवसाय किया, ना किसी ने कोई नौकरी की है। और कहां से आ रहा है? उस गरीब बिहार की जनता से। देखिए, मैं कहना चाहूंगा, चाहे बंगाल में जो कुछ मिला पार्थिव चटर्जी के यहां, जो कुछ यहां मिल रहा है, ये गरीब और वंचित के नाम पर, इन द नेम ऑफ पुअर एंड डिप्राइव्ड, दोस टाइप ऑफ पार्टीज जिन्होंने सबसे बड़ा क्रेडिट लेने की कोशिश की, दे फोर्स दिस इंटायर रीजन ऑफ द ईस्टर्न इंडिया टू रिमेन बैकवर्ड, और अल्टीमेटली व्हाट टाइप ऑफ फीलिंग दे आर हैविंग विद द पुअर young people of India, it is very evident that how they were exploiting their sentiments. So now it is very clear, जो सबसे ज्यादा गरीब गुरबा की बात कहता है वो सबसे अमीर है। जो वंचितों और शोषितों की बात करते हैं, उन्होंने ही वंचितों निर्धनों का सर्वाधिक शोषण किया है। इट इज अ क्लियर कट थिंग, एंड नाउ व्हेन देयर थिंग्स हैव बीन एक्सपोज्ड, they are trying to blatantly overcome and shamelessly trying to put the allegation of the timeline.
प्रोफेसर सुबोध मेहता जी, सवाल सीधा है, if there has been corruption, if there has been a case that has been registered, if investigations have begun, they have to be concluded. After all, the case was registered in May earlier this year when the RJD was not in power. The raids are happening now in, the turn that investigation agencies require to decide on where to go and how to find the details of the investigation. Can you actually accuse investigation agencies कि आज floor test है तो मत आना, कल election है मत आना, tomorrow there is a big rally in the state so don't come on that day? Is it really fair to expect agencies to adhere to a timetable that is decided by political parties?
Navkaji, you have to contextualize what's happening today. When you look to the whole ED and CBI raid across India in last 8 years, there has been approximately 3,200 CBI raids, ED raids, almost every day the opposition leader is getting targeted. When you analyze in this larger context, so actually it is the frustration of the BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, who tries to utilize the institutions in a manner to topple the government, various government of different states. Almost 9 states the government has been toppled by using money and ED and CBI. The example is Karnataka. Before 2018, you have seen that there was a numerous ED cases, and once the government is formed, nothing is visible there. No one is caught. When you look to the Mukul Roy in West Bengal, this thing is happening. So Operation Lotus, this is a reflection of an Operation Lotus, and this Sudhanshu ji has rightly talked about Eastern India. When you look to the British Empire, even the British Empire could not establish a permanent Raj in Eastern India, primarily because by using the manpower and by using the state machinery, you just cannot take the love of these Bihar and Jharkhand, West Bengal and Odisha people. What have we seen today? We have seen that 18 years back there has been a case in the railway. That time the Deputy Chief Minister Honorable Teju Prasad Yadav was only 10 to 12 years of age, and it continued. According to the CBI norms and procedure, if there has been a case within a year, you have to bind it out. But last 18 years nothing has been done. Raid after raid. Last month also there was a raid.
But you're not answering,
and before that
Mr.
also
Mehta,
there was
the
a raid.
question
So how many raid?
The question of rags to riches story of the Lalu Prasad Yadav regime. And that is the question, yes. Ishkaran Bhandari, that is the legitimate question to ask. After all, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav is on record saying that he comes from a very humble background. Now, how many people from humble backgrounds who become chief ministers and stay in politics? I mean, I don't think politicians make enough money to be able to buy multiple farmlands, multiple assets of the kind. I mean, I've been working for 3 decades now. I haven't saved up enough money in a private job, to buy some farmland. So, are we really making this all about politics, or are there some legitimate questions on accumulation of wealth of politics that should be asked?
Navika ji, there are 20 legitimate questions.
Let me answer this question.
I'll come to you, Mr. Mehta. Allow the other participants to speak. I will come back to you, Mr. Mehta. Allow Ishkaran to make his point. I will come back. Yes, Ishkaran Bhandari.
Navika ji, they are very legitimate questions because गरीबों की राजनीति करते हुए अपने आप को जो अमीर कर लेते हैं, उनको जनता की जवाबदारी देनी पड़ेगी. But I want to talk about the timeline first, because this is very important. And today, Congress should have been happy and Congress should have said we identified the corrupt people. But unfortunately, Congress wants to be in the government. March 1996, CBI registers the first case, which is the party in center, Congress, even though it was after court orders. Charge sheet filed in 1997, party in power, United Front government. First conviction, September 2013, party in power, UPA, and the famous Rahul Gandhi saying complete nonsense to the ordinance brought out by the Prime Minister. So Congress should have been saying we identified a corrupt person and we got him convicted. During our tenure, CBI managed to convict him. But unfortunately today they want to enjoy the spoils of power. Now let us come to this case. Not only this case, because Jharkhand has also been talked about. Jharkhand is also an alliance. Tomorrow people could be in this government or that government. But should ED not raid when it finds 2 AK-47s in the house of a politically connected person? Or when they raid and they find 11 crores in cash and they arrest the MLA? Should ED not do that? And tomorrow if the government falls, but ED raids somebody very powerful today in the government, would it be called political vendetta? Should CBI, ED stop functioning? Should courts stop functioning just because you are in power? And this, as you showed, Navika ji, in the beginning of the debate, 2017, you were talking about it. You were saying there are documents which need to be investigated. Good that CBI is investigating now. Hopefully it will come out soon. But one thing to CBI also, yes, they need to now have convictions in the court. Otherwise, this stigma that it is all being done politically will start resonating with people. So I hope CBI prosecutes diligently and fast and gets conviction.
Absolutely. Conviction rates will have to be looked at and have to be seen because that is the perception issues the investigation agencies will have to live up to. But Rajiv Ranjan ji, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूं कि आज रेड सिर्फ बिहार में तो नहीं पड़ी, झारखंड में भी पड़ी। प्रेम प्रकाश जी हैं, क्लोज एसोसिएट हैं वहां हेमंत सोरेन साहब जो चीफ मिनिस्टर हैं उनकी अलमारियों से तो AK-47 निकली। ईडी ने छापे मारे आज। AK-47 किसी के घर में क्या कर रही है ये भी सवाल नहीं पूछना चाहिए। 50 करोड़ मिले थे पार्थ चैटर्जी, उससे भी ज्यादा शायद। इतना कैश जिंदगी में किसी ने कभी देखा नहीं था। वो निकला था बंगाल में पार्थ चैटर्जी के सहयोगी के यहां से, उस पर भी सवाल नहीं पूछना चाहिए। मैं पूछना चाहती हूं कि विपक्ष के सिर्फ 2 आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हैं, टाइमिंग इस वक्त क्यों कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ हम पर क्यों कर रहे हैं, ये 2 सवाल पूछे जाते हैं। मैं पूछना चाहती हूं कि अच्छा अगर आज ना होती कल होती तो कुछ तथ्य बदल जाते क्या जिन्होंने गरीबों से पैसे लूटकर महल बनाए हैं, और मैं किसी इंडिविजुअल के लिए नहीं बोल रही, पूरी पब्लिक जानती है कि पॉलिटिक्स में लोग किस लिए आते हैं, ये जनरल इंप्रेशन है लोगों का, क्या इसे ठीक करने की जरूरत नहीं है? करप्ट पॉलिटिशियंस अगर हैं तो उन्हें पकड़ने की जरूरत नहीं है क्या?
देखिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर किसी के खिलाफ कोई आरोप है और इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसीज को एक लंबा वक्त ये तय करने में लगता है कि FIR करना है या नहीं करना है, ये लालू प्रसाद जी और जो ये लैंड फॉर जॉब का ये मामला है, ये 2021 में आपने रजिस्टर किया, लेकिन इस मामले को आप देखिए 2004 से 2009 के बीच में लालू जी बिहार के देश के रेल मंत्री थे, और 2014 से लेकर ये 2022 हो रहे हैं। देखिए, ये टाइमिंग पर सवाल क्यों नहीं खड़े होते हैं? टाइमिंग पर सवाल इसलिए खड़े होते हैं कि जब आपको अपने दुश्मनों को साधना होता है तो फिर आप कमजोर तथ्यों के साथ आप आते हैं, और कभी ईडी का कन्विक्शन रेट देख लेंगी तो फिर आप भी मान लेंगी, और सीबीआई के अनसुलझे हुए मामलों की फहरिस्त देख लीजिए। मैं अब दूसरी बात कहूंगा, ये दूसरा मसला IRCTC को लेकर के ये लोग बात करते हैं। IRCTC का मामला भी 2004 से 2009 के बीच है, 1 दशक से ज्यादा हो गए इसकी FIR के बाद, लेकिन ये कुछ नहीं कर पाए। तो इसका मतलब साफ है कि ये केवल लोगों का चेहरा खराब करने के लिए इन एजेंसीज का दुरुपयोग कर रहा है। अब मैं 2 वाकया केवल आपको बताऊंगा, ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा। ये 2010 का ये ट्रिब्यून का ये जुलाई 22 का ये ट्रिब्यून का असम ट्रिब्यून का ये रिपोर्ट है, जिसमें इन्होंने 2010 के मामले को लेकर उठाया है कि किस तरह से भाजपा हमलावर थी वाटर स्कैम में हेमंता विश्वा शर्मा के खिलाफ। 2 दिनों तक पार्लियामेंट की प्रोसीडिंग्स पैरालाइज कर दी गई। इतने हमलावर थे कि जब तक हेमंता विश्वा शर्मा ने आत्मसमर्पण नहीं किया, उस मामले में इनकी चुप्पी, इनकी गतिविधियां कभी कम नहीं हुई। लेकिन जब उन्होंने आत्मसमर्पण किया तो न केवल उन्हें इनाम मिला, बल्कि उनके जरिए देश के कई राज्यों में तख्ता पलट की योजना को बाजाबता इन्होंने अंजाम दिया, जिसमें ताजा उदाहरण महाराष्ट्र का है। और अब ये ताजा इनके पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड के मेंबर हुए हैं अभी येदियुरप्पा साहब, उन्हें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने केवल इतनी ही राहत दी है कि हाई कोर्ट के प्रोसीडिंग्स पर अभी रोक लगाई गई है, लेकिन उन्होंने इसे बरी होना मान लिया और उनको सीधे कर्नाटक की राजनीति से, देश की राजनीति की शीर्षस्थ
सवाल
जो
का
इनकी इकाई है,
the basic gist of the question that is being raised is that you don't question corruption charges on your own and people who come into your party while you ask questions on corruption of everybody else who's in the opposition. Respond.
Now I would like to respond that those who are trying to put allegation that since we have come in power, we are putting all the opposition leaders under the trail of the corruption and under the, you can say, scanning of the agencies. But what was the case before 2014? अभी राजीव रंजन जी बोल रहे हैं 2004 और 6 के बाद इसके ऊपर FIR हुई थी. Who was in power? Lalu Prasad Yadav ji was in power. Even his party was taking a stance that the Bihar injustice is being done with the youth of Bihar. चलिए वो छोड़ दीजिए. मैंने लालू यादव जी का 96 का केस बताया. मुलायम सिंह जी पे केस उस जमाने में when we were in opposition. मायावती जी पे केस when we were in opposition. DMK leaders पे केस when we were in opposition. 2G scam, CWG scam, coal scam, all scam. The Congress leaders were under the scanner of the agencies when we were in opposition. Sir, can you name a single BJP leader before 2014 which was under the scanner of the investigating agencies for the charges of corruption when we were in power in several state governments? Not even a single. So we were never having the allegation of corruption even when you were in power. So is the case today. तो भाई किस बात के ऊपर हमारे ऊपर आरोप लगा रहे मान्यवर? हाँ, हमारे ऊपर फर्जी केस लगाते थे. कहीं पे बाबरी मस्जिद के ऊपर केस लेकर, कहीं गोधरा पे लेके, वो सारे केसेस फॉल एंड फ्लैट हुए. इसलिए मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि करप्शन इज अ टिपिकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ दीज पार्टीज वेदर दे आर इन पावर और इन अपोजिशन. But it is the transparency and honesty is the case of functioning of BJP whether we are in power or in opposition. और दूसरा मैं एग्जांपल और बता दूं. अरे भाई झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा bribery case, JMM bribery case, the only case in the Supreme Court has accepted that the 1 crore rupees per candidate has been given to save the Congress government of Narasimha Rao, but they got alibi because the vote of confidence cannot be subjected to a judicial review. भैया JMM ब्राइबरी केस 94 का, ये चारा घोटाला 96 का, मुलायम सिंह जी मायावती जी के केस उस जमाने के, DMK के केस इस जमाने में, और अब हमसे कहते हैं कि हमारे जमाने में क्यों चल रहा है. तो जस्ट आई वांट टू आस्क वन क्वेश्चन टू राजीव रंजन जी. नेम ए सिंगल बीजेपी लीडर which despite all the efforts of the opposition party which was under the scanner of the agencies before 2014.
आपने काफी लंबी बात की.
अरे येदुरप्पा जी has been cleared by the court. येदुरप्पा जी has been cleared by the court, and that's why after that we have, सुनिए, when Justice Santosh Hegde, who was the Lokayukt in Karnataka, who has put allegation, and then Yadurappa ji stepped down, and we paid a heavy price for that. We lost the government in 2013 when Yadurappa ji got cleared. तब वो आए. हेमंता विश्व शर्मा पे एक केस बताइए जो दर्ज हो. राजीव रंजन जी केस बताइए कौन सा दर्ज है. Name a single case that was registered against Hemanta Vishwa Sharma. बताइए.
नहीं, आप कोहराम क्यों मचा रहे थे?
अरे कौन सा कोहराम? 2010 में राजीव रंजन जी सुनिए, वाटर स्कैम पे कोई संसद का सत्र नहीं.
मुझे केवल 30 सेकंड दीजिए.
2010 में मैं आपको क्लियर कर दूं, आपको गलत ध्यान होगा. सुनिए, 2010 जुलाई में मानसून सेशन was entire monsoon session was installed because of the 2G scam, not because of the Hemanta Vishwa Sharma. I challenge you. अरे भाई आप भी थे उस समय हमारे साथ.
ऐसे तो नहीं होता है नाविका जी. हम लोग तो एनडीए में थे, लेकिन मैं
नहीं तो बताइए ना,
एक बार इनके अवसरवादी चरित्र के बारे में देश का ध्यान आकृष्ट करना चाहता हूं. मैं वही तो बता रहा हूं आपको. सुनने के लिए तैयार होइए ना. आप वो बता रहे हैं जो आप बताना चाहते हैं. मैं आपको सच का सामना कराना चाहता हूं. इन अ काउंटर अटैक अगेंस्ट द कांग्रेस पार्टी, द बीजेपी टुडे वेंट ऑल गन्स blazing against Hemanta Vishwa Sharma, charging that he has emerged as a key suspect in the water supply scam of 2010. On the defensive after the Congress unleashed massive attacks against the BJP in the parliament, the BJP parliamentary board released a booklet, Water Supply Scam 2010 in Goa and Guwahati, at a meeting of party MPs which was also attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. The functioning of parliament has been paralyzed for last 2 days. ये आपका इतिहास है जो आज आपके सबसे बड़े कद्दावर नेताओं में एक हैं और आपके संकट मोचक आज बने हैं.
2010 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी जी कहां से आ गए सर? 2010 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी जी कहां से आ गए?
ये 2010 का, अरे आप आप पूरी बात सुनते नहीं है क्या? 2010 के मामले को आपने उठाया और आपने कांग्रेस को भ्रष्टाचार के मामले में दोषी करार देने के लिए आपने कहा कि हेमंता विश्वा शर्मा, ये 2014 के बाद प्रधानमंत्री जी जब नरेंद्र मोदी हो गए उसके बाद का ये वाकया जब पार्लियामेंट को आपने पैरालाइज किया।
आप सुधांशु जी
पार्लियामेंट को हमने, मतलब प्राइम मिनिस्टर होने के बाद हमने पार्लियामेंट को पैरालाइज किया। नहीं, व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से नाविका जी, आफ्टर वी केम इन द पावर वी पैरालाइज द पार्लियामेंट।
मुझे क्लियर करने देंगे क्या? नहीं, उलझाइए मत।
राजीव रंजन जी, we'll have to check those facts. We'll have to check those facts. But the question today, if there is a question, the question will be, and ask anybody on the street, and Ishkaran Bhandari, I want to ask you, anybody on the street will say that all those, and we've seen, I mean, I've been in media for the last almost 29-30 years, and I've seen some of these leaders, very, very modest and humble backgrounds. You know, today they don't look like what they did then. And their only salary is from being a member of parliament or an MLA or a chief minister or a minister. How then do they live such lavish lives, and how then do they afford so much? And why then is electioneering so expensive in this country that a common man cannot even afford to stand for elections, because you know, paisa chahiye election ladne ke liye. Now these are the issues that the common man is thinking about. और यहाँ मुद्दा हमेशा ये है कि अब क्यों किया रेट, तब क्यों किया रेट, and of course conviction rates which are so disappointing that people are left just standing.
Navika ji, because Calcutta was also named, Kolkata was also named, when people see 50 crores and more in cash coming out, that shakes the conscience of the nation. Or when you see AK-47s coming out of houses of people today who are supposed to be very close to powers that be, they say AK-47 used for terror. Who needs AK-47? If you have that in your house, that shakes the conscience of the people that what is the level of crime you need to do, that you need to keep an AK-47 with yourself. So those are the questions that the entire nation is asking. And as I started the debate by saying, the onus is on CBI to convict the biggest of them so that the message goes, crime doesn't pay. Even if it takes you 10 years, you will rot in jail and your property will be confiscated by the state and your children will not enjoy the benefits of the crimes you do. That is the bare minimum.
Absolutely, because somewhere people want, you know, a payback, because wrong leads to, you know, some punishment. That as a society is something we've grown up on, and that simply doesn't seem to be happening in the political arena in today's India. That is what people of India are waiting for. Quick investigation, quick judicial movement of these cases and punishment being meted out. Not just allegations, counter allegations and a political slugfest on this. As I thank my panelists on debate number 1, the slugfest between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP over the alleged liquor scam in Delhi and the controversy over CM Kejriwal not signing important files seems a never-ending confrontation. From the alleged liquor scam to Filegate, the Kejriwal government is neck-deep in trouble, or so it seems. The Aam Aadmi Party has accused the BJP of trying to topple their government, but the BJP asks, why can't the AAP simply answer their questions? Why is it running away from the pertinent, pointed, direct questions about malpractices in the implementation of the liquor policy? The BJP called it Mota Mal. Why isn't CM Kejriwal responding to these allegations? I spoke with Sanjay Singh and Sambit Patra just a short while ago on Times Now Navbharat. I'll play out that slugfest because the rounds really was good to see the boxing match between the AAP and the BJP.
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
संबित पात्रा, शराब नीति से आया पैसा पंजाब चुनाव में लगा। इस बात के क्या प्रमाण हैं आपके पास? क्योंकि आज आपने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भारी मात्रा में फायरिंग करी है आम आदमी पार्टी पे। ये पंजाब में पैसा कैसा गया, क्या आपके पास इसके डिटेल है?
देखिए नाविका जी, पहली बात, क्योंकि आप पहला प्रश्न पूछ रही हैं तो अज्यूम्ड ये है कि इसमें किसी प्रकार का संशय नहीं है कि करप्शन तो भारी मात्रा में हुआ है, भारी पैसा कमाया गया है। चलिए, अगर पंजाब चुनाव में नहीं लगाया तो व्यक्तिगत रूप से खर्च किया होगा। स्वाभाविक है, एक राजनीतिक पार्टी है, किसी राज्य में चुनाव लड़ रही है और जिस प्रकार से भ्रष्टाचार को अपनाते हुए ढेरों पैसा कमा करके पंजाब में चुनाव लड़ा है, तो ये हमने एक बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि जो आपने करप्ट डील्स किए थे उसके माध्यम से जो पैसा आया आपने पंजाब में लगाए, चुनाव में लगाए, वो एक आयाम है। उसके साथ साथ दूसरे आयाम भी होंगे। व्यक्तिगत रूप में भी खर्च किया होगा, कुछ आपने दिल्ली के लिए भी रखा होगा, वहां की राजनीति के लिए। तो ये कई आयाम होते हैं जो मोटा माल कमीशन के रूप में इन शराब कंपनियों से कमाया है। आज मूल तथ्य, और मैं आपको धन्यवाद दूंगा नाविका जी कि आपने जो मूल प्रश्न उठाया कि कोई रेटोरिक्स पे नहीं जाएगा, जो फैक्चुअल विषय है उन फैक्ट्स पे हम बात करेंगे। मेरे प्रश्न सारे फैक्ट्स पे बेस्ड है। क्या ये हकीकत नहीं है कि एक्साइज पॉलिसी के लिए एक कमेटी का गठन किया गया था? 4 एक्सपर्ट्स उसमें शामिल थे, जिसमें रवि जी जो एक्साइज कमिश्नर थे तत्कालीन, उस समय के जो कमिश्नर थे वो उसमें एक सदस्य थे। और ये जो कमेटी बैठी थी 1 वर्ष पहले, इस कमेटी ने अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट की थी।
चलिए, कमेटी की बातों पर मैं आती हूँ डॉक्टर पात्रा, कमेटी की सिफारिशों पर मैं आती हूँ अगले राउंड में। पर ये पंजाब का जो कनेक्शन है,
देखिए अभी आपके ही कार्यक्रम में वो पलट गए, कहने लगे कि हो सकता है पंजाब में लगाया हो सकता है व्यक्तिगत रूप से खर्च किया हो। आपके ही कार्यक्रम में पलट गए, यानी कि उनके आरोप तथ्यहीन, निराधार, बेबुनियाद, जैसे पहले रहे वैसे ये भी है। दूसरी बात क्या कहते हैं, जांच चल रही है, आपको क्या दिक्कत है? अरे भैया, पहले भी बहुत सारी जांचें कराए हो, ये भी जांच कराओ। लेकिन अभी तो आप लोग जांच अधिकारी खुद ही बन गए, सीबीआई के अफसर। अब बताता हूं क्या क्या आरोप इन्होंने लगाए। ये भारतीय खोखा पार्टी है नाविका जी, खोखा खोखा करते हैं, देश को देते हैं धोखा और 50 खोखा में खरीदते हैं विधायक। तो अब देश को बंद करो देना धोखा और बंद करो ये खोखा खोखा। इनका खोखा चल रहा है महाराष्ट्र में। बताइए, आज ये हालत है इस पार्टी की, दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी, हाफ पैंट पहन के हिंदुस्तान बदलने आए थे। भाजपा कार्यकर्ता को कोई देखता है कहते खोखा जा रहा है, खोखा जा रहा है। यह हालत हो गई। विधानसभा के अंदर नारे लग रहे हैं खोखा खोखा। तो अब मैं आपको बताता हूं आरोप क्या लगाया, और आपके चैनल्स पे बहुत सारी पीसी होगी, निकाल के देखिए। पहले इनके एक माननीय सांसद जी ने कहा, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, 10,000 करोड़ का घोटाला हो गया। जब हमने कहा भैया पॉलिसी तो पढ़ लेते, कितने हजार करोड़ की है, बोले नहीं नहीं 1,000 करोड़ का घोटाला हो गया। फिर हमने कहा भैया कैसे हो गया, बोले नहीं नहीं 150 करोड़ का, 144 करोड़ का घोटाला हो गया। हमने कहा भैया बताओ कैसे, बोले 30 करोड़ का घोटाला हो गया। हमने कहा भैया सीबीआई तुम्हारी एफआईआर भी करा लिया, दिखा तो दो उसमें कहां 144 करोड़ 30 करोड़ कहां लिखा हुआ है। तो कोई तथ्य नहीं, कोई प्रमाण नहीं, ये उसी कहानी को दोहरा रहे हैं जो 2015 में किया था। और क्या किया था, मुख्यमंत्री पे सीबीआई का छापा मारा। इसी तरीके से बोलते थे उस समय भी संबित पात्रा जी, बहुत बड़ा घोटाला मिल गया, 7 साल हो गए कुछ नहीं निकला। मनीष सिसोदिया पे सीबीआई का छापा मारा, कुछ नहीं निकला, उनके घर पे सीबीआई भेजी। 14 घंटे तक इस बार फिर सीबीआई का छापा मारा, कितना पैसा निकला, कितनी संपत्ति निकली, कितने करोड़ बरामद हुए, कितना सोना बरामद हुआ मनीष सिसोदिया जी के घर, बताइए आप देश को। कुछ नहीं निकला। फिर कहते हैं सिसोदिया जी अपनी पार्टी तोड़ के हमारे साथ आ जाओ, सारा खेल बदल देंगे। शिंदे का प्रयोग जो सफल हुआ, सिसोदिया पे वो प्रयोग फेल हुआ। इनकी पार्टी में जो आ जाता है नाविका जी, वो कट्टर ईमानदार हो जाता है। मुकुल राय पर बीजेपी आरोप लगाती है, महाभ्रष्ट, शारदा स्कैम, नारदा स्कैम, इनके साथ चले गए, राष्ट्रीय उपाध्यक्ष बन गए।
वापस जा रहे हैं
शर्मा पे
पॉलिटिकल और राजनीतिक बयानों पर हम वापस जा रहे हैं। राउंड 2 में मैं पूछना चाहती हूं, आप सरकार ने कमेटी की सिफारिशों को क्यों नहीं माना? अब ये सवाल तो जायज सवाल है और ये आज संबित पात्रा जी ने पूछा था प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में। अब आप मुझे ये बता दीजिए संजय सिंह जी कि ये है जांच कमेटी, जो एक कमेटी बनाई थी, रिपोर्ट ऑफ द कमिटी, उन्होंने सारे सजेशंस दिए थे, इसमें से सजेशंस माने नहीं गए। तो कमेटी बनाई थी तो क्यों बनाई थी, और अगर उन्होंने कुछ बोला था कि ये गाइडलाइंस होने चाहिए तो क्यों नहीं माने गए? ये स्ट्रेट मुद्दे की बात है, इस पर जवाब दीजिए संजय जी।
अरे इतने पलटी मार आरोप ये लोग लगा चुके, कितनी बार बताया तो आपको 10,000 करोड़, 1,000 करोड़, 144 करोड़, 30 करोड़। अबे पता नहीं रोज रोज कहां से नए नए आरोप, नए नए तथ्य लेके सामने आ जाते हैं। इनकी किस बात पे भरोसा करें?
नहीं,
जांच करने दीजिए ना सीबीआई को, आपने जांच तो दिया है। ईडी को देना चाहते हैं, ईडी को दीजिए, एनआईए को देना चाहते हैं, एनआईए को दीजिए, एटीएस लगाना चाहते हैं, एटीएस लगाइए, एसीबी लगाना चाहते हैं, एसीबी लगाइए।
नहीं, पर ये जवाब तो नहीं हुआ। मैं इसमें से पढ़कर बताती हूँ,
देश को ये बताना पड़ेगा।
मैन्युफैक्चरर्स मे बी एबल टू अक्वायर रिटेल लाइसेंसेस थ्रू प्रॉक्सी ओनरशिप, यानी कि
ये प्रॉब्लम है। फिर
नहीं, प्रॉब्लम क्यों है? ये रिपोर्ट कह रही है, मैं कह रही हूं स्पेसिफिक सवाल स्पेसिफिक जवाब। इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
आप जवाब देने दे रही हैं?
नहीं, आप दीजिए ना।
आप जवाब देने दे रही हैं?
मैं कह रही हूं,
पूछा कि 10,000 करोड़ क्या घोटाले का आरोप कहां लगाया?
उसका जवाब लेंगे ना। अभी डॉक्टर पात्रा से लेती हूं।
सामने वो पलट गए।
अभी तो
पंजाब में नहीं तो अपने पास,
अभी तो कुश्ती शुरू हुई है
आपके चैनल पे आके।
चलिए पात्रा जी, आप ये बता दीजिए कि ये फिगर क्या है? ये भ्रष्टाचार का फिगर क्या है? 10,000, 5,000, 900, 144, 0, 30, क्या है पूरे भ्रष्टाचार का नंबर?
नाविका जी, मैंने बड़े ध्यान से बिना किसी इंटरफेरेंस के सुना। अब ध्यान से आप मेरे तथ्यों को सुन लीजिए। मैंने किसी प्रकार से चिल्लाया नहीं। देखिए, नंबर एक, इन्होंने शुरू किया कि ये हाफ पैंट पहन के आए थे, ये खोखा पार्टी है, फलाना ढिकड़ा। देखिए, ये तो ठेका पार्टी है, ये तो ठेका से पैसा मार रहे हैं। और हाफ पैंट, हम तो कम से कम हाफ पैंट में हैं, आपकी तरह नंगे पुंगे तो नहीं हैं कि लालू प्रसाद यादव को सबसे ज्यादा भ्रष्टाचारी बता रहे थे, अब जाके उनके साथ बैठे हुए हैं, गले मिले हुए हैं। पहले कैसे कैसे इनके सारे मंत्री जो है ऑटो में लटक लटक के आ रहे थे, देखो जी हमारे पास तो कुछ नहीं है जी, ऑटो में लटक के आना पड़ रहा है, और वे करोड़ों खरबों रुपए मार मार के भ्रष्टाचार कर रहे हैं। अब खैर हम विषय पे आते हैं। देखिए, मैं यहां पर कोई लड़ाई करने नहीं आया हूं। संजय सिंह जी बड़े भाई हैं, ज्ञानी व्यक्ति है। मैं सिर्फ 2-4 सवाल पूछूंगा। नंबर एक, संजय सिंह जी, आपने रवि जी के जो एक्साइज कमिश्नर थे उनके तत्वावधान में एक कमेटी बनाई थी कि नहीं? कमेटी ने यह कहा था कि नहीं? 2 मेजर रिकमेंडेशन। नंबर एक रिकमेंडेशन था कि सरकार जो एक्साइज पॉलिसी बनाए उसमें कर्नाटक मॉडल को मानते हुए जो होलसेल का व्यापार है वो अपने पास रखे, उसी से सबसे ज्यादा मुनाफा होगा, कभी भी होलसेल प्राइवेट प्लेयर को नहीं दीजिएगा। यह कमेटी का रिकमेंडेशन था। यह रिकमेंडेशन 1.1.1 में आप पढ़ सकते हैं, आपके पास है मेरे ख्याल से नाविका जी, और संजय सिंह जी के पास भी रिपोर्ट होगा, पढ़ लीजिए। बड़े स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि प्राइवेट हैंड्स में देना नहीं है, उससे नुकसान होगा। प्रश्न है, फिर भी मनीष सिसोदिया और अरविंद केजरीवाल ने प्राइवेट हैंड में क्यों दिया? नंबर एक। नंबर दो, दूसरा रिकमेंडेशन था कि जो आप 37 जोन्स में दिल्ली को बांटे हैं, जो रिटेल बिजनेस आप देंगे, ये आप कभी भी बड़ी कंपनियों को नहीं दीजिएगा, लॉटरी सिस्टम के माध्यम से इंडिविजुअल्स को दीजिएगा, तो कार्टेल सिस्टम और मोनोपोली नहीं होगा, और इससे फायदा दिल्ली के लोगों को होगा, पैसे दिल्ली सरकार के जेब में जाएंगे। ठीक इसके विपरीत आपने क्या किया? ठीक इसके विपरीत आपने ना लॉटरी सिस्टम किया, ना इंडिविजुअल्स को दिया, आपने ब्लैक लिस्टेड कंपनी को दी, आपने मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को रिटेल में लाकर आपने उनको यह ठेका दिया, जो कि मैन्युफैक्चर कभी रिटेल में नहीं आ सकता है, ब्लैक लिस्टेड कंपनी को कभी भी ठेका नहीं दिया जा सकता है। क्या एलजी ने इसको फ्लैग ऑफ नहीं किया? एलजी ने इनको फ्लैग ऑफ किया। एक सेकंड नाविका जी, मैं कोई इधर उधर की बातें, खोखा, हाफ पैंट, चड्डी, बनियान, मैं ये सब कुछ नहीं बात कर रहा हूं, मैं डायरेक्टली टू द पॉइंट बात कर रहा हूं। क्या यह हकीकत नहीं है कि 144 करोड़ रुपया माफ किया गया? ये जो कंपनीज थी उनकी 144 करोड़ रुपीस आपने माफ किया। क्या ये हकीकत नहीं है? क्या ये हकीकत नहीं है कि आज से 8 महीने पहले आपको एक्साइज कमिश्नर ने एक नोटिस इशू किया था, 3 सब्सिक्वेंट नोटिसेस दिए गए थे, 8-9 महीने तक आप उस पे बैठे रहे। आप नोटिस, उस समय आप प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करते कि अरे गलती हो गई, क्यों नहीं किया उस समय? क्यों बैठे रहे? क्योंकि मोटा माल आ रहा था और मोटा माल पंजाब जा रहा था।
तो आपकी बातों पे भरोसा कौन करेगा? ईडी ने 3000 छापे मारे हैं संबित जी देश भर में, 3000 छापे आपके शासनकाल में, और कन्विक्शन रेट कितना है उसका? 0.5%। और आप क्या करते हैं? आंध्र प्रदेश में जाते हैं तो आप देखिए, कह रहे हैं 50 रुपए में दारू पिलाएंगे। आंध्र प्रदेश के चुनाव में इनके चीफ ने घोषणा की है, ये देखिए, ये है इनका चाल चरित्र चेहरा। तो आप सारी चीजों पे हमसे जवाब चाहते हैं। महाराष्ट्र की शिंदे की सरकार कैसे तोड़ी उसको आप नहीं बताएंगे।
चलिए संबित पात्रा जी, पंजाब में कहां पैसे पहुंचे उसका एड्रेस बता दीजिए, उसका एड्रेस बता दीजिए, उसका एड्रेस बता दीजिए। पंजाब में माल कहां पहुंचा?
ठीक है, मैं बताता मैं सबका एड्रेस बताऊंगा। अभी आप सुनिए शांति से। अंजना जी, मैंने स्पेसिफिक 3
मेरा नाम नाविका जी है,
उत्तर दूंगा, मगर स्पेसिफिक
मेरा नाम नाविका है।
नाविका जी माफ करिएगा, नाविका जी माफ करिएगा, नाविका जी माफ करिएगा। आप हमारे, अरे नाविका जी हमारी बड़ी बहन है। अरे हम लोग लगातार इंटरव्यू से बैठते हैं, कई बार गलती हो जाती है। आई एम सो सॉरी नाविका जी, प्लीज डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज। हाथ जोड़ के माफी। नाविका जी, 2-3 मैंने प्रश्न बिल्कुल मैंने डायरेक्टली पूछा। मैंने पूछा क्या कमेटी बनाई थी, कमेटी के रिकमेंडेशंस को माना? तो इन्होंने क्या कहा? आंध्र प्रदेश में वो पीपल के पेड़ के नीचे कोई 50 रुपए का दारू पी रहा था, उसके ऊपर ईडी क्यों नहीं हुआ? गुजरात में सीबीआई क्यों नहीं गई? अरे मैंने तो बड़ा टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन पूछा था, आप बोलेंगे तो अंग्रेजी में भी पढ़ दूंगा। आपने अभी यहाँ पर टाइम्स नाउ नवभारत में नाविका जी को साक्षी मानते हुए पहली बार आम आदमी पार्टी ने कहा है कि हमने कोरोना के समय, भाई साहब मैं कंप्लीट कर लूं, नाविका जी ने मुझसे पूछा, पहली बार नाविका जी को साक्षी मानकर आपने ये कमिट किया है कि हमने ये पैसा जो माफ किया वो कोरोना के कारण माफ किया। एक सेकंड नाविका जी, देखिए 144 करोड़ रुपया हमने शराब कंपनियों का माफ किया कोरोना के कारण। याद करिए, यही वो आम आदमी पार्टी है जो चंद दिनों पहले जब बीजेपी ने कहा था ये कोरोना के समय माफ किया था, तो इन्होंने काउंटर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस किया था कि उस समय कोरोना नहीं हुआ था, बीजेपी गलत बोल रही है, फैक्ट चेक, उस समय कोरोना नहीं हुआ था। किया था कि नहीं नाविका जी? इनके सौरभ भारद्वाज आके हमारे प्रवक्ता को घेर रहे थे, अरे उस समय कोरोना नहीं हुआ था, कोरोना से पहले ये का विषय है, आप लोग गलत तथ्य रख रहे हैं। अब ये बोल रहे हैं कोरोना के कारण 144 CR माफ कर दिया। पहली बात तो है बधाई इस शो को, पहली बार न्यूज मीडिया के शो में इतने बड़े प्रवक्ता आम आदमी पार्टी के, उन्होंने इस बात को मान लिया कि 144 CR हमने माफ किया है। अब बोल रहे हैं मैं संन्यास लूंगा, तुम भी संन्यास लो। मैं काहे को संन्यास लूं? आप संन्यास लीजिए। अब लुटिया आपकी डूब रही है, संन्यास मैं ले लूं, ये तो बढ़िया काम है। मैं तो राजनीति में बना रहा हूं।
चलिए राउंड 3 के सवाल पर आते हैं।
चौथा प्रश्न है।
नहीं, मेरा प्रश्न तो पूछ लेने दीजिए। 19 कंपनियों ने सरेंडर क्यों किया लाइसेंस? अगर इतनी ब्लॉकबस्टर पॉलिसी थी तो 19 कंपनियां छोड़कर मैदान भाग क्यों गई? संजय सिंह जी।
देखिए नाविका जी, ऐसे डिबेट नहीं चलेगी। उन्होंने अभी आपके सामने कहा था किस राज्य सरकार ने शराब की लाइसेंस फीस माफ की, मैंने बताया हरियाणा सरकार, खट्टर की सरकार, भाजपा की सरकार। उस पे आप ना कुछ पूछ रही हैं ना जवाब ले रही हैं।
मेरी रिसर्च टीम चेक कर रही है। मैं जजमेंट तो अगली हियरिंग में ही दे सकती हूँ। आप तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाकर भी अगली डेट में ही अपना नोटिस देंगे ना, और अगली डेट पर फैसला सुनाएंगे ना। अब मुझे जजमेंट के लिए कह रहे हैं, तथ्य मेरे सामने आएंगे तभी तो मैं आपको कोई जवाब दे पाऊंगी। तो मेरी रिसर्च टीम इस पर काम कर रही है। संजय सिंह जी
चैलेंज तो दे रहे थे वो कि पहली बार माना, पहली बार
भाई साहब, आप लोग राजनीति में रोज एक दूसरे को चैलेंज देते हैं। कोई कहता है सिर मुंडवा लूंगा, कोई कहता है कभी संन्यास ले लूंगा, राजनीति से हट जाऊंगा। आप लोगों के चैलेंज आप लोगों के बीच में, लेकिन
तो
जनता
चैलेंज आपके सामने दे रहे थे।
हाँ, तो मैं रिकॉर्डिंग चला दूंगी।
डिबेट नहीं करना चाहती, आप टोका टोकी करना चाहती।
मैं डिबेट,
आप टोका टोकी करना चाहती।
मैं जजमेंट नहीं दे रही हूं। अगर मैं जजमेंट देने लग जाऊंगी तो आप मुझे कहेंगे कि आप मीडिया हो या आप कोर्ट हो या आप जज हो।
सामने उन्होंने चैलेंज किया था ना।
हम सबका फैसला करने वाले, मीडिया चैनल का फैसला करने वाले और राजनीतिक दलों का फैसला करने, राजनीतिक दलों का फैसला करने वाले कौन होते हैं? पब्लिक। और पब्लिक देख रही है, पब्लिक अपना जजमेंट देगी। वो जजमेंट मैं आपके सामने रखूंगी और तथ्य भी चेक करूंगी। इस वक्त मेरी रिसर्च टीम कह रही है वो हरियाणा का जो आपने बात कही है उसको चेक कर रहे हैं। थोड़ा समय दीजिए, वो चेक कर वापस आएंगे। लेकिन 19 कंपनियां भाग क्यों गई सरेंडर करके लाइसेंस, इसका ब्यौरा आप दर्शकों के देंगे तो मैं रुकती हूं, नहीं तो राउंड 4 पे चाहती हूं।
हाँ, मैं दे रहा हूं
जी।
नाविका जी 3-4 बार आपको बता चुका, लेकिन आप सुनती नहीं है और इसी से लगता है कि आप एक पूर्वाग्रह से ग्रसित होकर डिबेट करती हैं। ये माफ कीजिएगा, मैं बड़े दुख के साथ ये बात कह रहा हूं, लेकिन आपके दर्शक सुन चुके हैं। कई बार मैं फिर से बोल दे रहा हूं, जब बैजल साहब ने उसमें एक क्लॉज लगाया कि एमसीडी की परमिशन, डीडीए लैंड पे शराब की दुकानें नहीं खुलेंगी, बहुत सारे लोगों ने लाइसेंस सरेंडर किया। कल तक ये लोग कहते थे गली गली में ठेके खुल गए। बाद में जब हमने कहा भाई 468 ठेके खुले, ठेके पुरानी शराब नीति के तुलना में लगभग 400 कम खुले, तो मैदान छोड़ के भाग गए।
देखिए नाविका जी, मैंने आरंभ से ही कहा है मैं इधर उधर की बात नहीं करूंगा, तथ्य रखूंगा। 19 कंपनियां, आप यहां 10 प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस दिखा सकती हैं, सिसोदिया जी, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी और जितने भी जी हैं इनके सबके प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस दिखाइए कि ये वर्ल्ड क्लास एक्साइज नीति है। इससे करोड़ों करोड़, न जाने कितने करोड़, पता नहीं, इसके प्रॉफिट दिल्ली को होने वाले हैं। और ये एक्साइज पॉलिसी जब लागू हुई थी, ये विड्रॉ होने से पहले 31 मार्च से पहले, मैं आपको गिनाता हूं, जोन सरेंडर्ड ऑन मार्च 31। जोन नंबर 24 ट्राइडेंट कंपनी ने सरेंडर किया, जोन नंबर 25 पाथवे कंपनी ने सरेंडर किया, जोन नंबर 26 श्री अवंतिका कंपनी ने सरेंडर किया, जोन नंबर 8 अधर्व कंपनी ने सरेंडर किया, जोन सरेंडर ऑन May 31, जोन 1 भगवती कंपनी ने, जोन 3 खाओ गली कंपनी ने, जोन 23 मगुंटा कंपनी ने, जोन 20 ग्लो, जोन 29 यूनिवर्सल, जुलाई 15 को जोन 30 में पॉपुलर स्पिरिट ने सरेंडर किया, जुलाई 31 में 9 जोनों में खाओ गली, मगुंता, नोवा, पाथवे, अवंतिका, यूनिवर्सल, ट्राइडेंट और ऑर्गेनोमिक्स ने सरेंडर किया। मैं तो तथ्य के साथ बैठा हूं। ये सारी कंपनी क्यों सरेंडर कर गई? ये बोल रहे हैं कि बैजल जी ने इनको अलाउ नहीं किया और कहा कि एनओसी लेना पड़ेगा डीडीए। बैजल जी ने क्या कहा? बैजल जी ने कहा जो रूल है संविधान का, रूल क्या है कि नॉन कन्फॉर्मिंग एरिया में दारू के ठेके खुल नहीं सकते, इसको कोई बदल नहीं सकता। यह हिंदुस्तान का संविधान है। बैजल साहब ने 10 महीने पहले बताए थे, 10 महीने तक ये बैठे रहे और प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करते रहे। नंबर वन पॉलिसी है ये, इतने करोड़ों का प्रॉफिट होगा। संजय जी तो खुद पार्लियामेंट में बोल रहे थे, ना जाने कितने, मैं भूल गया कितना करोड़ बोल रहे थे, 3000 करोड़ या ऐसा कुछ बोला था इन्होंने कि इतना का प्रॉफिट होने वाला है। अतसी मारलेना बोल रही थी 9000 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट होगा, वहां राघव चड्डा बोल रहे थे 13000 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट होगा, ना जाने सबका प्रॉफिट हो रहा था। और जब धरपकड़ हो गई, बैजल साहब खराब थे, बैजल साहब ने मना किया। अरे बैजल साहब के बोलने के 9 महीने तक आप बोल रहे थे प्रॉफिट होने वाला है। मुझे यह बताइए, 19 कंपनियों का नाम लिया है मैंने, ये कंपनियों ने सरेंडर क्यों कर दिया? आपके एक्साइज
इसका जवाब वो दे चुके हैं डॉक्टर पात्रा। आप कन्विंस नहीं है तो इस पर मामला कोर्ट में जाएगा। लेकिन राउंड 4 सबसे जरूरी और आखिरी राउंड जो मैं सवाल पूछना चाहती हूं वो ये कि क्या बीजेपी ने दिल्ली में ऑपरेशन लोटस चलाने की कोशिश की?
ऑपरेशन लोटस, देखिए नाविका जी, ये वो कंपनी है, मतलब आम आदमी पार्टी, जिनके तो मुखिया ने पहले दिन ही कहा था जो भी आए रिकॉर्डिंग कर लेना, कुछ छोड़ना मत। तो ये जो 20-20 करोड़ लेके हमारे लोग इनके घर में पहुंचे हुए थे, इतनी सारी बातें कर रहे थे कि देखो तुम आ जाओ, तुम्हारा तो कल्याण हो जाएगा, तुमको सीएम बना देंगे, फलाना कर देंगे, ढिकड़ा कर देंगे, ये 20 करोड़ भी लेके आया हूं, तुमको ऐसा कर देंगे। ये सब अपना भले बच्चे की तरह बैठे हुए थे। हाँ हाँ हाँ, अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, मैं कुछ रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं करूंगा। अच्छा क्यों? ये हमसे मिले हुए थे क्या? इनके सारे एमएलए हमसे मिले हुए थे जो रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं कर रहे थे, कुछ नहीं कर रहे थे, नाम तक भी नहीं बताया। कौन वो व्यक्ति था बीजेपी का जो गया था ये झोला लेकर 20 करोड़ रुपए का इनके घर पे, नाम भी नहीं बताया। इनके घर के बाहर तो सबके एमएलए के सीसीटीवी कैमरा, क्योंकि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने तो कितना 2.5 लाख ना पता नहीं कितने सीसीटीवी कैमरा लगाए हैं, गली गली सड़क सड़क अंधेरी कोने हर जगह सीसीटीवी कैमरा है। तो हमारे लोग जो गए थे 20-20 करोड़ रुपया लेके यहां पर, तो उसको दिखाया नहीं। निकालो ना सीसीटीवी कैमरा से कि कौन जा रहा है, कौन सा सांसद हमारा जा रहा है 20 करोड़ रुपए लेके। 20 करोड़ रुपए तो छोटे झुलिया में नहीं आएगी, बड़ा सा बैग होगा एकदम।
संजय सिंह जी जवाब
निकालो जरा,
तथ्य कहाँ है? आज 4 दिन हो गए, सिसोदिया जी को मैसेज आया था, वो भी नहीं।
बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा है। अब मेरे ख्याल से
जी जवाब दे।
बहुत बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा है। पहले इसको जरा शांति से सुनिएगा
जी।
और मैं फिर क्लियर कर दूं कि ईडी की जांच सत्येंद्र जैन के खिलाफ चल रही है और ईडी की जांच की एफआईआर की खबर सारे चैनल्स पे चलाई गई कि मनीष सिसोदिया पे दर्ज हो गई है। कहां से यह सब प्रायोजित होता है मुझे नहीं मालूम, इसलिए मैंने ईडी का आंकड़ा दिया था, फिर दोहरा दे रहा हूं, 0.5% कन्विक्शन रेट है। अब आ जाते हैं ऑपरेशन लोटस। ऑपरेशन बोगस साबित हो गया। जो प्रयोग शिंदे पे सफल हुआ वो सिसोदिया पर फेल हो गया। और सीरियल ऑफेंडर के बारे में आप पूछ रही हैं, कोई सीरियल किलर हो और उसके आरोप के बारे में आप पूछ रही हैं कि उसने हत्या की कि नहीं की। अरे इन्होंने महाराष्ट्र की सरकार की हत्या की, इन्होंने गोवा के सरकार की हत्या की, इन्होंने अरुणाचल के सरकार की हत्या की, इन्होंने उत्तराखंड के सरकार की हत्या की, इन्होंने मध्य प्रदेश के सरकार की हत्या की। ये पूरे देश में खोखा खोखा खेल रहे हैं, खोखा देके विधायकों को खरीद रहे हैं।
भाई साहब बाकी स्टेट्स में तो सरकारें गिर गई, आपकी सरकार भी नहीं गिरी, आपके पास रिकॉर्डिंग भी नहीं है, तो दुनिया को कैसे बताएंगे? और 4 जो एमएलए आपके आए थे वो भी कोई तथ्य नहीं दे पाए।
नाविका जी ये अब यही बात है कि आप पूरी बात ही नहीं होने देती हैं, इसीलिए कहता हूं कि पूरी बात होने दिया कीजिए। ऐसे ही आरोप ये लोग लगा रहे थे, ऐसे ही चिल्ला चिल्ला के कह रहे थे दिल्ली में हमने विधायक खरीदने की कोशिश नहीं की। दिल्ली में जब हमारे 28 एमएलए थे तो हमारे एक एमएलए दिनेश मोहनिया ने स्टिंग ऑपरेशन करके इनके नेता का सार्वजनिक कर दिया था। तो चिंता मत करो, आप लोग सीरियल ऑफेंडर हो, सीरियल किलर हो, हर जगह सरकार खरीदना गिराना, खोखा खोखा करना, खोखे का खेल करना, ये आपका धंधा बन गया है। ऐसे ही हास्य कलाकार के तौर पे उस समय भी आप बोल रहे थे कि कहीं हम प्रयास नहीं कर रहे हैं। दिनेश मोहनिया ने खोला था ना,
पुरानी बात है। आज की बात अगर आप कह रहे हैं सस्पेंस के तौर पर समय आएगा तो बताएंगे, तो फिर इंतजार अब जारी है, क्योंकि इस आरोप को लगाए हुए कम से कम 4 दिन तो हो गए। पूरा देश इंतजार कर रहा है कि कोई ना कोई तथ्य, कोई ना कोई रिकॉर्डिंग, कोई ना कोई टेक्स्ट, व्हाट्सएप मैसेज और आइडेंटिफिकेशन।
अरे ये लोग भोले बन जाते हैं नाविका जी, आप भूल गई।
ये
शिंदे के लिए क्या करे थे? अरे हमारा कोई लेना देना नहीं शिंदे से,
10 सेकंड
हम तो जानते ही नहीं शिंदे कौन है। संबित पात्रा मैं नहीं जानता।
संबित पात्रा जी, आप सीरियल ऑफेंडर है, संजय सिंह जी का कहना है।
सीरियल किलर है, वो सब बताया इन्होंने। अब मैं जवाब देता हूं, शांति से सुना। देखिए आज के इस ऐतिहासिक डिबेट में संजय भाई ने केवल एक ही शब्द का प्रयोग किया, खोखा खोखा, झूठा झूठा। एक भी टेक्निकल प्रश्न का टेक्निकल उत्तर नहीं दिया। दूसरा, मैंने बड़े स्पष्ट रूप से कहा हम 20 करोड़ दे रहे थे, बैग लेके आपके घर पे आए थे। सीसीटीवी तो अरविंद केजरीवाल ने आप सबके घर के बाहर लगाया हुआ है, प्लीज वो वीडियो दिखा दीजिए। उसको भी खोखा खोखा, धोखा धोखा करके जा रहे हैं। देखिए इससे एक बात स्पष्ट होता है कि ये वो लोग हैं जो मनीष सिसोदिया जी को अब टेक्निकली डिफेंड करने में असमर्थ है। दूसरी बात है, ये हमें बोल रहे हैं कि हम चिल्ला रहे हैं।
Watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
Time to time, but it was just a promise, and all during the 7 or 6 years of their time, their governance in Afghanistan, they never agreed on what they promised.
So Zarifa, how do you describe the condition of women and young girls in the country right now?
In a country where women are able or allowed, not able, but are allowed legally, and unsocial wise to sell their body parts, to sell their children, to sell their household, to sell their dreams, hopes, everything, but not able to study or work and earn some money legally and with honor to feed their family. So definitely that could be the worst happening to women. Nowadays, Afghanistan is the only one country around the world where girl child is not able to go to school, especially for secondary and higher education. So it shows clearly that how women are surviving life in a country where just your gender becomes a crime to stop you from all humanitarian rights. So definitely living in that country will cost you not only your life, but your dignity, your hope, emotions, and dreams.
Do you think there is a chance for change?
Actually, it's so clear. They have to change. They have to change. Not only starting from that small resistance or activities inside the country, but global-wise, there is a big amount of resistance going on. There is previously, and in the history of Afghanistan, it was always men rising up and changing the situation. But this time, we see it globally that there are women who are stepping up. Women of Afghanistan are not anymore women of 90s. So it's so clear that they have to change. Otherwise, they need to just give up.
You also recently visited Kabul, if I'm not wrong. How do you see the country has changed?
But just few days later, the closure of schools, and that also in a way that schools were open, girls were already inside school for 1 or 2 hours, and then suddenly Taliban are coming and kicking them out of their classes. So this is, this was that,
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
Climbing up into the top of a mountain and then without having anything in your hand to help you and support you, you fell down and you broke into pieces. So that happened not only to me, to everyone around the country and outside the country, for all Afghan citizens all around, especially for women.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them. I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source, and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the News Hour at 9, only on Times Now.
party symbol, flag of Bharatiya Janata Party is also there. But what is more shocking is this a particular sticker which has been on the windshield of this car, which says that Vidhayak Vidhan Sabha Sachivalaya.
Good evening and welcome to the Newshour agenda. There's some breaking news coming in at the top of this bulletin, and this time it's from Hyderabad, where fresh stone pelting has been reported as, in fact, this has been reported in the Shalibanda Asha Theatre area, and police have had to lathi charge on a mob that was gathered over there. Let's go across to Somit. Somit, quickly take us through what's happening at that area. Is stone pelting still there? Have police managed to get things under control?
Well, Madhav, just now additional force have been, deployed here. We can clearly see here, even RF and the task force and also the armed reserve have been deployed here. They were actually, at the Shalibanda area. This is just a meters away from the Shalibanda area. We can clearly see here. I'll ask the VJ to show, the stones have been pelted, and even, just police personnel and others have just, missed from the situation. However, police have went inside, trying to take the situation into control. However, more than 100, people Muslims have gathered here and immediately they resorted to this stone pelting, and they actually tried to come to the Shalibanda area, the circle, to stage a protest.
Is the law and order machinery not able to get things under control? I think that's very clear and quite evident from the kind of incidents that you've been reporting since last night, Somit. We certainly hope that things remain peaceful, that sense prevails as far as citizens are concerned, that they do not take law into their own hands. We all need to have faith in our system of law and justice at the end of the day. We'll have to leave it there for the moment. Thanks so much for joining us with that update. And viewers, as India is leaping to become a developed nation, civic apathy unfortunately continues to fail Indians, with potholes responsible for hundreds of deaths across the country. And this is not just restricted to one city. The apathy is pan-India. In a recent incident in Bengaluru, a pothole claimed the life of 44-year-old Supreet, who was on his way to work. In these visuals that you can see, they've been caught on CCTV, and we can clearly see the bike of Supreet skid as he falls from it into over a 2.5 feet pothole. Bystanders have rushed him to the hospital, where he succumbs to his injuries 4 days later. What's bizarre is that the victim, Supreet, has now been denied dignity even in death. Police in Bengaluru, instead of taking action against the BBMP Babus, have registered an FIR against, believe it or not, the victim, and booked him for negligent and rash driving. When approached by the family of the victim, cops have refused to rectify the FIR. Meanwhile, the BBMP chief just offered token condemnation over the life claimed by the pothole. Listen in.
It is not correct on my part to make any comment, because the complaint has been lodged. The complaint has not been lodged with me to inquire. The complaint has been lodged with the police, and the investigating officer is doing his inquiry. So it is not correct for me to comment. However, based on the news reports, we had asked our chief engineer concerned, and they only informed that there had been an incident and there has been a complaint, and let the investigating officer then say as to what has happened there, and we will work accordingly. Any loss of life is very, very regrettable, and it cannot be compensated.
And while the common man continues to suffer on pothole-ridden roads, BBMP Babus get brand new asphalted roads as far as potholes next to their office are concerned. Take a look at yourself, the contrast between what has happened at the spot where a man lost his life and just mud and gravel has been hurriedly put in to do some patchwork there, as opposed to the situation outside the BBMP office.
In this road, whereas you can see right now I'm standing in the spot where the incident took place. While he was coming this way, he tripped and fell inside this pothole, and he was badly injured on his head. The locals immediately rushed him to the nearby hospital, and they admitted him, whereas he was under treatment for past 3 days, but whereas he passed away on August 20.
With little bit of damage to the road, a lot of patchwork has been done, and it has been done across this stretch of the road leading up to the BBMP office. This is the entrance to the BBMP office where regularly several officials of the BBMP, including the commissioner, makes his way here. Now, because officials make their way here, this is the quality, of asphalting and maintenance that's done.
And India continues to witness thousands of deaths every year. Take a look at the numbers on your screens. In 2018, 2,115 people lost their lives to potholes. In the consecutive year, the deaths increased by 125 with 2,140 deaths. In 2020, however, the deaths due to potholes stood at 1,471. And this is not because civic agencies pulled up their socks and worked round the clock. The numbers are low simply because people were restricted to their homes due to the pandemic. If this is the condition of roads across the nation, where's all the tax money being spent? Supreet's death is a clarion call for electorate to speak up and question babus about the pathetic condition of our roads.
Watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
To talk about this, I have with me Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the BJP, Brijesh Kalapa, the senior advocate, joining us. With us also on the show is Saurabh Kumar. He's director of Pothole Raja, which is in fact is a group that has been active on this issue of potholes and pothole related deaths. But I first and foremost want to go across to the senior most member on our panel. We have with us retired Justice Saldana of the High Court in Karnataka. Justice Saldana, thank you so much for joining us, sir. And the reason I wanted to have you on the panel today, and we want to hear from you, is this bizarre spectacle that we are seeing in Bengaluru. You have a 44-year-old man who has lost his life to a pothole, and he doesn't appear to be driving rash or negligently from the CCTV footage that we can see on our screens. Yet, in a very, very curious turn of events, you have the Bengaluru police, which has gone ahead and slapped section 279 of the IPC on this person. So the person who's a victim of the pothole, and you can see over here under section 279 that's written along with 304A, is actually being accused of causing his own death. What can be more bizarre than this, Justice Saldana?
Well, I have only two things to say. First of all, maybe it is many years back, but we made legal history when I was judge of the Bombay High Court, because in that case, mercifully, it was not a death, but unfortunately, an elderly Parsi lady had a fall and sustained a very serious fracture. And I held that the liability is absolute on the state, on the municipal authorities, and all those who can be held responsible. And what I did was, it took a little time, I mean just a few days, but I investigated and we got the entire list of persons, right down from the one who had awarded the contract, to the officers concerned, right down to the to the engineer who was responsible for the situation in which the road was. You see, I think this is absurd what is going on, unpardonable. How can the police turn around and say there's a lethal pothole on the road, and how can they turn around and say, why don't you watch where you're going? And if you ride your scooter into it, you're responsible. It is meaningless. No law-abiding country would accept a situation of this type.
Absolutely.
But in that case,
Justice Saldana, I'm sorry, there's some problem with your video. We'll just try to rectify that. But I just want to take this thought that you've expressed with us, and we're going to come back to you for more on your advice as how we should, as citizens, approach this issue. But I want to take this question across to the BJP spokesperson on the panel. And our BJP spokesperson joining us is Mohan Krishna. Mohan Krishna, now this is an incident that has citizens completely outraged. There have been over 2,000 deaths in a year in different cities. It's not a problem only in Bangalore. In Bangalore, this particular case has happened, which is absolutely shocking. Because in Bangalore, the police actually believe the person who drove into the pothole is responsible, not the BBMP, not the engineers, not the babus, not those who built that road and are responsible for its maintenance, as Justice Saldana was telling us. But the person who drove into that pothole is responsible for his death. If this FIR, which has been registered under this particular section of IPC 279 is concerned. How do you explain this, Mohan Krishna?
Good evening, Madhav. Madhav, there is nothing to explain in this. But honestly to tell you, Karnataka government will take initiative in bringing a law to maintain the roads in such a way that the contractors and accountability to persons will be fixed. That I assure you on this channel to you. Apart from that, my deep condolences to Supreet family, and it is very unfortunate. These police people, they have booked under 279A, what you have said. It should have been under 3042. Now, that there is no lenience can be given to anybody here. The only thing, the fastest thing what we can do is fix up the pothole and bring in the new mechanism, new technology into the infrastructure and make the roads better and infrastructure the better. That's one thing. Apart from that, we have to give relief to the people. Whenever something happens, Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi in his Independence Day speech, he said, responsibility, accountability to civics is very important. So, and
no, but that's not enough. Mohan Krishna, you know, this is lip service, because at the end of the day, your government has been there for over 2.5 years. There's a lot that you can could have done. There is in fact several hands going up. I'm going to let Indrajit Lankesh respond to that. As a filmmaker, Indrajit Lankesh, as a citizen of Bengaluru, more importantly, now it's not just the central part of Bangalore like Malleshwaram where the BBMP office is, or other parts where we expect roads to be paved. It's far away in Suntatkatte as well. Unfortunately, citizens in Suntatkatte are lesser citizens, because Babus outside the BBMP will have the roads paved. But citizens over there, even after a death, will only see mud and gravel filled in those potholes. Yes, that's the reality.
I'm, as a citizen, as a journalist, as a filmmaker, and of course, obviously, as a citizen, firstly, I feel really, really sorry. And I exactly agree with your words saying that enough of lip service. In fact, the High Court, in the open court, they brought in the commissioner, and in the open court, they have scolded him. They have given an ultimatum to him. If you don't fix the potholes, people are dying. It's not just Supreet. Every month, every 10 days, every 15 days, the people are dying. Not just by potholes, by the BBMPs. In fact, waste management. The vans hitting people, girls, they are just smashing them, and the potholes, and of course today itself, not just 10%. When Modi ji came and said Congress government is 10%, today they have had a press conference. The contractors are saying the government is asking 50%, 50% commission, 50% corruption. What do you say for this? The contractors, they dig up the same roads which are very good and again lay the tar, the cement roads, but the footpaths, the potholes, after
what's going on?
People are dying every day.
Mohan Krishna, is ultimately this corruption? Is this corruption eating away? Is this corruption eating away the resources of BBMP? And mind you, BBMP has over 3,000 crores in its budget. With over 3,000 crore budget.
40% commissioners.
Yes, once again, Indrajit, you made a very important point. Is it corruption? And has the BJP government been unable to stem the corruption? The same corruption that you accuse the Congress and JDS of. Today, you are being accused of the same.
Madhav, please, may I request Indrajit to just
give an ultimatum to him. When the judge is saying...
Okay, Indrajit, let him reply. Let him reply because these are serious charges. These are serious charges. I want him to reply.
Mr. Indrajit, you have seen 50%, 40%, 30%, all this. We want the proof. We have asked for the proof. If they are so confident, that our government is doing this nonsense of corruption, let them go to the court. We have Lokayukta today. We have courts. Let them go to the court. Kempanna should not talk. You are not supposed to talk like that, Kempanna. He has met Siddaramaiah and after that he has made the conference. And you are talking in the same way. Let me tell you on your show, what is this 40%, 30%, 50%? They have to get the money from the BBMP government and everything to the tune of 22,000 crores.
All right.
They want that money back.
I don't want to divert from the core issue. I'm sorry, but Mohan Krishna, the outrage of the citizens cannot be matched by your outrage today, because really what is happening is people are being killed, and even in their death they are not being given dignity. I'm sorry, there are some very serious charges that you have to face, and for that I want to bring in our other panelists also. Saurabh Kumar is with us of Pothole Raja. Saurabh Kumar, you know, the government says that there is no corruption, prove if there is corruption, but these acts very clearly show the level of civic apathy. Even after a person dies, they don't bother about that location. There's still mud and gravel that our reporters have found over there.
You know, I think this continues to be, a sad state of affair when we see potholes being fixed using mud and temporary solution, wherein better solutions are there in the country. We've been talking about this from many years. In fact, we have been maintaining a lot of roads in different parts of the country as well. Many cities which we directly cater to, wherein latest technologies are used. In fact, even during heavy rain. My point is, every year, we are debating about the same situation. If we don't orient ourselves towards the solution, the right solution, if we don't engage citizens in reporting the issues and then addressing it on time,
right,
with a deadline saying that in 5 days, if the potholes are not fixed, the penalty can be imposed on on the contractor, and then if it is again not addressed and then so on and so forth. But the point is, we don't need to just keep talking about this when the right solution exists. And we as an organization are there to guide, help, and in whatever capacity we can, because we've been doing this. In fact, last night my team was fixing potholes in Nilmangala, which is very close to Bangalore. So, and every day the rain is...
But it's unfortunate, sir. It's unfortunate that private citizens have to do this, because the government that is elected to do this just fails to do its job time and again. It doesn't matter if it's a BJP or a Congress or a JDS government in Karnataka. Time and again governments there fail. Time and again government in cities of Mumbai, of Kolkata, of Chennai have failed as far as such basic requirements are concerned. But I'm going to take this across. In fact, there's a quick update coming in. This is Lakshman Nimbargi, who's a concerned DCP. And this is what the cops said when we posed the question as to why they have literally not even given this person dignity in death by making him, for all practical purposes, without actually naming him as accused, booking a section of IPC where he is the one to blame. Listen to what the cops had to say.
The family has registered a FIR on this case, whereas they have mentioned saying that they're blaming the BBMP. But the case has been filed under 304A section under self-negligence. But the family is saying that they're blaming BBMP. Can you say about that, sir? A small reaction about it.
Our ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕಾಪಿನ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. You can read it, then you can decide ಯಾವ sections ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೀವು decide ಮಾಡಿ.
Right, that is the response coming in. You can read the FIR and then decide what are the sections. Brajesh Kalapa, you are a man of law, and this is absolute mockery of the legal process that's happening. Not only has the government failed to actually, save this citizen, or unfortunately because of the acts of negligence, his life has been snuffed out, but also what is happening over here from part of the police is a complete mockery of the entire process of accountability. Babu should be held accountable, not the person who's died, surely.
Madhav, I totally agree with you. And when a man rides his motorcycle or when he takes out his car, he's paid road tax. And for what has he paid road tax? Where has that money for the road tax gone? And today, if a person who has paid for using the road, for using the convenience of the road, and today when there is a pothole, for which he has not paid for a pothole, he has paid for a road, right? And when he has paid for a road and there is no road but a pothole, and he is not aware of it, at least if the government gives an indication that, look, these are the potholes, please watch out. But how can they give an indication? Because on any stretch of road, there are thousands of potholes. So how can they say that this is a pothole, and that's another pothole? So it's absurd. The kind of scenario in which we are living is where the person who has now lost his life is himself responsible for his own death. Even after having paid road tax, even after having suffered, dying in a completely unknown fashion, without being able to presage your own death, and despite that, Now, if the government is saying, look, I am responsible myself, I have a feeling that not just the governments, and like Justice Saldana said, if there is no absolute liability, the courts have let down the citizens. It's the courts really which have to wake up and say that, look, a pothole death has arisen. Now, as a result of this pothole death, we are going to, take one officer off duty. If that were to happen, because the point is that when
is that practical? Justice Saldana, this is Brajesh Kalapa. He's a noted lawyer himself. He's saying that courts have to now take this up because clearly the government or the corporation has failed. Here you have a situation where once again perhaps some level of judicial activism is required because that's no other way. It has to be the fear of law ultimately that is only going to work in such a situation of hopelessness. Justice Saldana.
Madhav, there are all sorts of specious arguments to try and dodge the absolute liability and the duty. I would, with folded hands as an ex-judge, request the Karnataka High Court. You have to make a global example. I recall that when I first came to Karnataka, that was in 1994, I had laid down a deadline and I personally went around and enforced it, and in 42 days we cleared every one of the potholes in the whole of Bangalore. I remember one night at 1 a.m. I was coming back from the airport.
Right.
And I stopped the car and there was some work going on. And I asked them, "Yenu ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ?" I said, "What are you doing?" And they said that there is some devil sitting in the High Court who's making things very, very hot for us. And that is the reason why we are working day and night. So I laughed, but I just said, why on Church Street? Then this fellow shrugged his shoulders and told me, "I don't know, sir, but I'm told that man stays somewhere here."
Okay.
Now, this is lighter vein.
Right.
This lighter vein. But Madhav, I would like and I would request the Karnataka High Court to immediately take up this matter suo moto. You don't require any application or anything from anybody, from any citizen.
Right. So will the Karnataka High Court take it up suo moto? That's the request coming up from the retired judge of the High Court himself, Justice Saldana. Thanks so much for sharing your experience. Even though the example that you gave was in a lighter vein, it at least goes to show the impact that the judiciary can have on ground, because ultimately you need that fear of law and that fear of God in the minds of people. And before I leave all our panelists, just one statistic that I want to reel out. Earlier this year, the Karnataka state government has said that it provided a total of 6,768 crore for 3 years between 2018 and 2021 for the construction and repair of major and subprime roads in the city. If that is true, what explains the accidents and deaths due to potholes? 6,728, over 2,000 crores a year. Is that not enough for the repair of these potholes across the city? I leave our viewers with these thoughts. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us this evening, gentlemen. On August 15th, 11 convicted rapists were released by the Gujarat government. Since then, the chorus for justice for Bilkis has been echoing in all quarters. BJP leader today, Khushbu, took to Twitter and called the remission of these 11 brutes as an insult to mankind. She said they need to be jailed immediately. Khushbu is the first BJP leader who's openly condemned the Gujarat government's decision, but it follows Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis' comment condemning the felicitation of these accused by right-wing groups after their release. Another BJP leader too has echoed similar sentiments and said that there can't be any mercy in such cases. But the opposition is not impressed. Walk the talk is the message to the BJP. Now, questions have been raised about the remission. Let's listen to the reactions coming in.
There is no compromise when it comes to an accused being felicitated, and especially when it is a rape accused. I think the entire country is in tandem and of the same opinion that whether it's Bilkis Bano or any other rape convict, there should be no felicitation of the accused. The sentiment of a rape victim and a rape convict is way beyond that of any party politics. And as Khushbu Sundar said, it is an insult to our humanity if we are going to stoop so low. The time has come for us to univocally speak up when it comes to rape victims and rape accused, because there can be no mercy in these cases.
You were raising, several questions against the centre on Bilkis Banu's case. So now BJP leader, big face, we can say, Khushbu has come out and tweeted stating that whoever the woman is, might be Bilkis, might be any woman, they should get justice. And you were condemning the release of the 12 convicts in that case. Now BJP leaders have come out speaking. What would you like to state, sir?
Can the BJP, this is all crocodile tears. Can the BJP leaders ensure that all those people are sent back to the prison? Come on, do it. Why this hypocrisy? If you really feel the pain of Bilkis Bano as a woman or as a human being, tell your party, you are in power. Tell them to cancel the remission, send back to prison. I challenge them to do it. Do it. Issuing the mere words, using mere words is nothing. Walk the talk. Show how concerned and how sincere you are. You are intellectually dishonest. That is why you're only using words.
For any woman in any political party to question their leaders, and if they don't listen to her, and if they don't rescind such an outrageous, inhuman order, unprecedented in India, why is she still in that party? I mean, I cannot think of something more shameful than defense of rape. If Amit Shah is silent, it is because he has a chronology in his mind, and that chronology is the Gujarat election.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, let's take this across to our guest. Joining us live with us is Vinod Bansal, national spokesperson of the VHP. Rishi Malhotra is with us. He's a lawyer for the convicts. Shah Halim is with us, activist. As also joining us on the panel is Shaina NC, leader of the BJP. Let me begin first and foremost by posing this question, to the VHP spokesperson Vinod Bansal. Vinod Bansal ji, आप अभी देख रहे हैं कि ये सिर्फ opposition का issue नहीं रहा है. We are seeing even leaders within the BJP, whether it's Khushbu Sundar, whether it's Shaina NC who's joining us on the panel, they are saying that when it comes to rape victims, the kind of trauma that they have been through, and in the case of Bilkis Bano, she has seen her close family brutalized, a young daughter murdered, she was also gang raped. In such brutal crimes, it is extremely insensitive to the state of the victim to actually see the perpetrators of that crime felicitated. Now, you may argue that the judicial process allows for reformation, so on and so forth. But was that felicitation in extremely poor taste? Could that not have been at least avoided?
Madhav, can I recall your viewers about that fateful morning of 27th of February 2022, 2002? You see, that day in Godhra itself, 59 car sevaks were burned at life. Who were there? How many girls are there in that? How many how many children are there inside the compartment of the train? You see, nobody has counted them. Neither those people have counted the victims of the other rights actually. आप देखिए कि आप जब साबरमती के डब्बे को जलाया गया और उसके बाद में आप जो है ना पुलिस प्रशासन जो है इन पर इनको भरोसा नहीं था.
Vinod ji, two wrongs cannot make a right, sir. Why are we even having this discussion? Can one murder justify another murder? Does that mean that both murders are right? Or does that mean as per the law both are wrong?
Not at all.
It is a crime that has been committed.
Nobody is going to justify it.
No, but then why are we going back to what happened in Godhra and the Sabarmati Express? We are talking about the case of Bilkis Bano. We are talking, sir, about the case of Bilkis Bano. Let's stick to this particular topic. And let's just say, I'm beginning with the point. I'm not getting into the remission right now. But do you feel that that felicitation is something that was in extremely poor taste and was extremely avoidable? Yes or no?
No, who has felicited? First one is that, you see, after 15 years of jail, after the remission by the Honorable Supreme Court, one person is coming out of the jail, right? अगर उसके परिजन, उसके मित्र रिश्तेदार, उसके पड़ोसी, अगर उसको कोई प्रसाद खिलाते हैं, अगर कोई फूलमाला पहना देते हैं, तो उसमें फेलिसिटेशन कैसे हो गया भाई?
अगले दिन दीनदयाल उपाध्याय जो भवन है गोधरा में, वहां पे किसने फेलिसिटेट किया था सर?
किसी गांव ने किया क्या?
दीनदयाल उपाध्याय भवन में किसने फेलिसिटेट किया था अगले दिन?
नहीं,
किसने किया था सर? वो जो पिक्चर्स आए हैं दीनदयाल उपाध्याय भवन से, वो कौन है? वो कौन है सर? कौन सी संस्था है?
देखिए आपने नहीं मुझे नहीं पता किसका। देखिए
वीएचपी के नहीं थे वहां पे लोग?
बात करिए, बट आई एम नॉट बिलोंग टू दैट।
वीएचपी के लोग नहीं थे वहां पे?
नहीं, नो नॉट एट ऑल। देखिए उस दिन भी मैंने माधव सुनिए मेरी बात को, लिसन टू वेरी क्लियरली। आई एम द नेशनल स्पोक्सपर्सन वीएचपी, आई एम रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द वीएचपी एक्ट, एंड लेट मी क्लैरिफाई यू, if you indulge anywhere, everywhere the VHP, then it is very heinous crime.
It is sir, people of VHP have been spotted in those photographs. That's why I'm saying it. Let me go across to Shaina. Let me go across to Shaina NC first. Shaina NC on 3 counts have asked questions to Mr. Vinod Bansal. He says that this is happening as per a legal procedure and therefore it should not be questioned. He is saying that the felicitation has not been done by the VHP. It's just been done by the family and friends. What's wrong with it? Would you like to respond to Mr. Bansal today?
So firstly, I think you must understand that Mr. Bansal himself, as the spokesperson of the VHP, has clarified that they had nothing to do with this felicitation. Was this felicitation wrong? Absolutely. And forget women leaders who have spoken up against this heinous crime of rape and the convicts who have come out, obviously being a part of a judicial process. Even the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has said an accused is an accused is an accused, and in rape cases we should not be absolving them of their sins and their crimes, because this is a disservice to us as humanity. Now I just want to say that the Bharatiya Janata Party has nothing to do with the felicitation. A lot of our leaders have spoken up against this kind of so-called appreciation of wrongdoers. But at every point, Madhav, let's relive that rape is a man's perversion and aggression and assertion of power, and something which cannot be absolved by any kind of social acceptance. If at all, it has to be social ostracization. And when I say ostracize, it means in totality. So let's look at the chronology of events and let's understand that just blaming someone is wrong. This is a mirror of our society, and our society needs to speak up vociferously in a male-dominated space, in a male-chauvinistic society, that rape and rapists can never be accepted in society. Felicitation, dur ki baat.
But what is the action that you're demanding now, Shaina NC? What is the action that you're demanding? Do you think that there should be a judicial process to review the remission? What is the position that you have at the moment, and what is the action that you're looking forward to?
I don't think this is about action. This is about outrage, and that outrage is not just been by women leaders or about women speaking for women. It is about even the male counterparts who have acknowledged, and Bansalji also did acknowledge, that felicitation was not a process of the Bharatiya Janata Party or the VHP or anybody. But in our society, if you have people who still continue to believe that rape is just some kind of an ordinary crime and just by being in jail you have paid your price, then that is not the case. So let's debate about this.
Okay.
Let's speak up about
Let me get in Saira Shah Halim on that.
Banu, but about so many other cases where rapists sometimes get away scot-free.
Absolutely, absolutely, and certainly, of course, this is a heinous crime. There is no doubt about it. But China NC, we've seen responses coming in from opposition parties. Mr. Asuddin Owaisi, we've seen Brinda Karat here in the national capital come out and say that if this is indeed the case, then BJP should walk the talk. That has been their position. Where do you stand on these comments that you're hearing coming in from leaders of the BJP? Sarah Shah Halim.
Yeah, firstly, good evening. I'd like to say something that there should be no debate on this. It should be a univocal voice asking for the perpetrators of this gruesome crime to be punished and this remission to be revoked. Because here, this is not just an ordinary one-off rape case. Here, it was a hate crime. It was a communal crime where more than 11 members of her family died. Her 3-year-old daughter was smashed, her head was smashed. She was a pregnant woman at that time. These rioters who mistook her to be dead fled after they went off on a killing spree. And here affiliates of the BJP are garlanding these criminals, feeding them with laddu, taking out aarti. I mean, what kind of a society are we becoming?
Okay.
There should be no debate on it, and I am requesting all the BJP leaders, especially Shaina NC, and every woman here, if you have a conscience, please see that this remission is revoked and these murderers and these criminals need to be sent back to jail, and there should be absolutely no debate on it.
Okay, let me bring in Rishi Malhotra, who's a lawyer for the convicts. Rishi Malhotra, this remission has to be revoked. That's a demand coming in from Sarah Shah Halim, activist who leans towards the left. Sarah Shah Halim, yes, you made your comment. Let's get a response from Rishi Malhotra. Rishi Malhotra, your response.
Yeah. You see, there is a very old saying that after an event, even a fool is wise. Why I'm saying so? That all this hue and cry which has been made in each and every channel which I'm appearing, there was no hue and cry when the High Court as well as the Supreme Court declined awarding death sentence. On the contrary, Bilkis Bano accepted a 50 lakh compensation, a government accommodation and a government job. Even then there was no hue and cry that why not these persons should be awarded death sentence. So I really fail to understand that why now, after the 11 convicts have undergone a substantial sentence of actual 15 years, and they have come out after due process of remission, why this hue and cry after they have been released pursuant to undergoing a 15-year dreaded actual sentence, and that too pursuant to a Supreme Court judgment of May 2022, which says that their cases can be considered for remission as per the 92 policy. So why this hue and cry now after they have been released? I really fail to understand. It's
all right. Quick response from Sarah Shah Halim. Sarah Shah Halim's hand is going up. Sarah Shah Halim, why is this outrage coming out so late? It's coming out 15 years too late is the lawyer's statement. Your response to him.
Rishi Malhotra, no, I'd like to remind Mr. Rishi Malhotra, firstly, he should know the facts. He's a lawyer, he should know the facts. The Supreme Court had directed the Gujarat government to pay Bilkis Bano 50 lakhs and they had also directed the Gujarat government to give a job and a house, which they haven't given. Till now, only that 50 lakhs has been given, and that is absolutely no compensation for the 20 years of absolute torture that she's faced, and she's trying to knock on justice's door for the last 20 years.
All right,
her child has been smashed.
Deshradha Nigam, I want you to come in on this. Whatever Bilkis Bano has received is not on behalf of what has happened as some kind of an agreement between the parties, but this is what the courts have ordered, and therefore what she has got is her due. However, in the case of the remission of these individuals, demands are now coming in to see that there is some kind of justice done, that this remission is reviewed once again judicially. Where do you stand on this?
Let me tell you one thing. The justice was already done when a punishment is given, because it is the state versus the accused. The convict person, the state comes into the shoes of the person, the victim, and once the punishment is given and the punishment is undergone, then the justice has been done. Now the other question comes is the remission policy. It is the well-accepted jurisprudence principle that a person is given a chance to reform, and it's a well laid down policy. and in heinous crimes since 2014, the Gujarat government and central government have changed their policy. But this is 1992 policy where in such kind of crimes remission is given and was given. Therefore, the Supreme Court directed that the 1992 policy, which was existing at that point of time, it should be considered, and whatever the material you have on record, you decide on that basis. And when such kind of a decision is taken by a committee, they call from the records from the prisons. They see the conduct, they see everything, and then they decide. I may have a personal view, which is that remission should not be given in such cases, which is now the policy, which is fine. But we have to talk within the 4 parameters of law. The law exists and law allows such kind of remission. And it's only the court. If this
questions are being asked within the BJP, questions are being asked outside of the BJP. There are many who in fact feel that in this particular case, given the heinous nature of this crime, perhaps the message that is going out is one of justice not being done. As you rightly said, there are rules, there are laws, but somewhere has justice evaded Bilkis with these remissions, and also the manner in which these individuals have been felicitated, being congratulated, because there are certainly several voices of concern that are being expressed as far as the message that goes out through all of these events. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us and sharing with us very candidly your views on the show this evening. Good night.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
Gadi number 0505. I'm sorry, it's a UP 32HH0001.
पता करिए उनसे कि 15 लड़के कैसे इस सोसाइटी में अपनी सोसाइटी देखिए, इससे बड़ी शर्म की बात नहीं हो सकती।
at 10.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a 2,600-bed private hospital in Chandigarh. It is India's biggest hospital that is equipped with cutting-edge technology. Varanasi District Court reserves judgment on maintainability plea. The judgment is likely to be pronounced on September 12th. Trouble mounts for Congress. National spokesperson Jaiveer Shergill quits party. After leaving, Shergill said vision of the party's decision makers is no longer in sync. Cattlegate accused Anuprata Mondal has been sent to 14-day judicial custody. Next hearing date set to September 7. Late Sonali Fogat's family alleges murder by PA and his partner. Kin demands CBI inquiry in the matter.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
I am saying some things that are maybe not the easiest thing in the world to hear. I'm not sitting here or standing here promising you tens and tens of billions of pounds of goodies straight away, because I don't think that's the right thing to do for our economy. But I want to be honest with you. I want to be straight with the country about the challenges we face and what is going to be required to fix them. And that's why I think you can trust me on this, because I'm prepared to do that, even though it's going to cost me politically.
at 10.
Shocking twist in Jharkhand illegal mining scam. ED recovers 2 AK-47 rifles from CM Soren's close aide's house in Ranchi. Twin Towers D-Day set for August 28. The demolition in Noida is among top 3 demolitions in the world. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh attended the annual meeting of Defense Ministers of Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Uzbekistan. PM Narendra Modi is likely to attend the state funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on September 27th.
Internet has been suspended for the next 5 days in Manipur, and also Section 144 has been imposed in parts of the state. The tribal bodies have called for an economic blockade, and this has escalated. The protests have escalated on Saturday when there were reports of vandalism and arson, and a car was also vandalized by protesters in the Bishnupur area.
Chief Minister Shivraj inspected the flood-affected areas in the state. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann felicitated Prime Minister Modi at the inauguration of Homi Bhabha Cancer Hospital and Research Centre in Punjab's Mohali district. Twin Towers D-Day set for August 28. The demolition in Noida is among top 3 demolitions in the world. 46 blasters and helpers roped in for the demolition of Twin Towers. Specially trained blasters permitted at site, 10 foreign blasters and 6 Indian ones are allowed.
Modi inaugurated a 2,600-bed private hospital in Chandigarh. It is India's biggest hospital that is equipped with cutting-edge technology. Varanasi District Court reserves judgment on maintainability plea. The judgment is likely to be pronounced on September 12th. Trouble mounts for Congress. National spokesperson Jaiveer Shergill quits party. After leaving, Shergill said vision of the party's decision makers is no longer in sync. Cattlegate accused Anuprata Mondal has been sent to 14-day judicial custody. Next hearing date set to September 7. Late Sonali Fogat's family alleges murder by PA and his partner. Kin demands CBI inquiry in the matter.
Hello and welcome. I'm Siddharth Talia and this is News Now Overnight. Let's take you through the top headlines at the top of this hour at 11 o'clock. The CBI raided multiple locations in Bihar related to land for job scam. Lalu Yadav, his wife and daughters are among the several others named as accused in the 2008-9 case. The CBI raided an under construction mall in Gurugram allegedly linked to the Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav. Mr. Tejasvi Yadav said that the raids were politically motivated while adding that the RJD would respond with a timely knockout punch. He also refuted any links drawn to the Gurugram mall as well. Reacting to the debate over CBI raids, Tejasvi Yadav's mother and ex-Bihar Chief Minister Rabri Devi asserted that the family is not scared of the central agency raids. The CBI also carried out search operations at the premises of RJD MLC Sunil Singh, Rajya Sabha members of Parliament Ashfaq Karim and Fayaz Ahmed and former MLC Subodh Rai as well. RJD MLC Sunil Singh, a close aide of Lalu Yadav, yelled from the balcony of the apartment during the course of the raid and said that the CBI had entered his house without informing the police and also alleged vendetta. Sunil Singh's wife also protested from the balcony and said that her husband is being victimized because of his political loyalty. She also affirmed that she would sue the agency for defamation. RJD spokesperson Shakti Singh Yadav said that the Enforcement Directorate, CBI and the income tax authorities were already planning their next operation in Bihar. RJD Member of Parliament Manoj Jha accused the centre of intimidating RJD legislators with CBI raids on a day when the newly formed Bihar government faced a trust vote. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar won the floor test in the Bihar Assembly. BJP staged a walkout during his address. Former Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Sushil Kumar Modi questioned the nexus between those raided and the RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad Yadav and said that all those facing the CBI heat managed Lalu's ill-gotten money. Former Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tarkishore Prasad downplayed conspiracy charge by the opposition and said that the CBI was just doing its job. Bihar BJP Chief Sanjay Jaiswal said that the raids were a consequence of the scam that Chief Minister Nitish Kumar had reported about in a complaint that was filed by himself. The Congress termed the CBI raids on Lalu's aides as politically motivated and said that the agency suddenly became active after the BJP's exit from the government in Bihar. Communist Party of India Marxist-Leninist MLA Mahbub Alam alleged conspiracy by the BJP to destabilize the existing government in Bihar. Enforcement directed raids were underway in Jharkhand and other states in connection with an illegal mining case related to Prem Prakash and associates of Ranchi. The Enforcement Directorate recovered 2 AK series assault rifles from Chief Minister Soren's close aide Prem Prakash's residence in Ranchi during the raids in Jharkhand in the illegal mining matter. Apart from Prem Prakash's premises, 16 other areas were also searched by the Enforcement Directorate in Bihar, Tamil Nadu as well as the Delhi NCR region over the illegal mining case. Upset over the release of suspended BJP MLA T. Raja Singh, protesters took to the streets demanding capital punishment for the suspended BJP leader in the evening today in Hyderabad. Police officials detained protesters after clashes broke out between protesters and cops in the Shahali Banda protest site in Hyderabad city. Telangana Congress leader Rashid Khan stoked a controversy by saying he would take law into his own hands if T. Raja Singh was not arrested for his remark on Prophet Muhammad. Protesters chanted Sar Tan Se Juda slogans in the presence of AIMM corporator Syed Sohail Qadri during the protest against the suspended MLA T. Raja Singh. Yet another AIMM Moghalpura corporator Nasreen Sultana, along with her followers, staged a protest and raised murderous slogans. This was late last night. A police patrol car was vandalized by a mob mobilized at the Moghulpura area in Hyderabad to protest against suspended BJP MLA T. Raja Singh. Police called additional forces to control hundreds who were gathered there without